Welcome everyone to Geeks and Grounds, a monthly game club and weekly or bi-weekly now podcast where we play games and brew thoughtful conversations together. In case you're new or need a refresher, we focus on one game a month so we can really deep dive into the themes and the story and the mechanics and make those connections between what we're playing and our own lives. And this month, it has been such a doozy. I'm so excited because we have been playing Mouthwashing, which is a horror game about a 5 crew member cargo ship trapped in space and what happens in their final days. And I am so excited because we have joining us in the cafe today a writer for Gaming Magazine, a content creator who loves doing what we love to do, and that's diving into themes and stories and context of both anime and games. And this is the person we've decided we're going to celebrate the one birthday we get on this trip. We're going to celebrate Milady Confetti. How are you doing, Confetti?
Good. And also, this is before the start of Scorpio season, so this is perfect.
Oh my gosh, it was meant to be.
Meant to be.
Oh my goodness. I am so excited to be talking mouthwashing with you today.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I know I'm jumping the gun here, but is this the first time you've played mouthwashing, or have you already played it and this is a replay? I'm really curious where you're coming in for this podcast.
I had already played it, but it was a replay, so I had to refresh myself. Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm in the same boat, which I think I learned some new things playing the second time around.
So did I. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be a great conversation. But before we do that, we are going to be hopping into the pastry case. This is our segment where we talk all about things happening in the industry, things that we're into. Yeah, just everything else besides that game of the month. And what I wanted to do is get to know you and have folks get to know you a little bit better as the guest of the cafe today.
Okay.
So just a few quick questions just to get a sense of where you're at currently and just what makes you you. I'm curious, just to get you started, what is an all-time favorite game? And because you also do a lot of anime coverage, I'm curious about your all-time favorite anime.
Okay, yeah. My all-time favorite game is Kingdom Hearts. I started with the Sega Genesis. I had the Sega Genesis for ever. People were buying the PlayStation 3 and I still had a Sega Genesis. I begged my mom. I said, I want a PlayStation 2. I didn't even want the 3. I wanted a PlayStation 2 because I wanted to play Kingdom Hearts. You know, me, I grew up on Disney. So I'm I get to play a game and Donald is my on the side of me, my friend. I want to play that. So eventually I got a PlayStation 2, played Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and I knew I was going to love it as soon as I touched it. I can quote that game from start to finish.
Wow.
It's when I say I love that game, I love that game. When I saw Disney doing something in the parks recently with Kingdom Hearts, I was like, something's happening. I don't know what. It's because they rarely acknowledge Kingdom Hearts. So I'm like, what's happening?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you then super excited? Because I'm so out of the loop with Kingdom Hearts, but there's a new Kingdom Hearts in
on the way. It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's Tetsuya Nomura's. It's going to be his last, I believe, before he retires. Or maybe he has one more in him. I don't know. And then I'm also trying to get the vinyl too. Because I've just been obsessed with gaming vinyl. So I'm already before you ask, I'm already gonna have Claire Obscura already on the wish list. And I do have Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts though is very expensive, so I'm gonna have to save up for that one.
Yeah.
Favorite anime though is always gonna be Yu Yu Hakusho. Always.
Gosh,
That is
classic.
It's not my first anime, but it was the one I think where I really found I felt like when I was watching it, I found friends. So Yu Yu Hakusho is actually behind me. Where is it? No, that's Rengoku. Right here.
Oh my gosh.
And they were my best friends growing up. People were who did you ship? Who did you crush? I'm they were my best friends. Why would I have a crush on any of them? What are you talking about? I love Yu Yu Hakusho. Justin Cook, he is my favorite dub voice actor. He voiced Yusuke, the boy in green. This is so hard in reverse. He dubbed Yusuke, and he's one of the greatest anime producers out there. Justin Cook is on the credits somewhere. He baked cupcakes. he did something on the anime, your favorite anime.
Wow,
So
yeah.
I love Yu Yu Hakusho.
I want that job. Can I be the person that bakes cupcakes for the anime? Because honestly, like
I honestly, he's like, oh, he's everywhere. I'm just like, where? I'm like, of course Justin Cook is here. I'm like, what are you doing here?
oh my gosh. Yu Yu Hakusho is so interesting. That's the anime I have read like a couple of the first episode, like the first book manga sort of books. I've seen a couple of episodes, and it's one of those where I've always watched it and read it and been like, this is really good. I should spend time getting super into it. And then I never block out the time. And I am so happy you reminded me of it, because I'm trying to make a list for in theory, the 2 weeks I'm going to have off for holidays in December. I'm like, I just want to watch anime and I just want to play games. I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
So putting that on the list.
You should. Let me know how it goes. I'll be checking in.
Yes. Keep me accountable. I love it. Yes. And because we are a cafe themed community, I love a good coffee shop. I love a good cafe order. I'm always curious, what is your go-to? Like if you had a go-to order, what would you pick if you were at a cafe?
I do a lot of tea. I love tea specialties. If it's like later at night, I'll probably go for like some type of a lavender blend. If I'm in pain, like I'll go for mint. If I need to wake up, definitely a black tea. I love jasmine bubble tea. That's also like bubble milk tea. That's like my one of my go-tos if I'm like doing just regular. But yeah, I'm a tea person. That's why I love Seattle so much, because there's a bunch of tea shops everywhere.
Yeah, Seattle has some incredible tea. Do you have like a shout out? Like if anyone's in Seattle, what's a good tea shop to hit up?
I forgot the name, but it is right next to the Pike Place Market. As soon as you go like up one of the things and like to the left, I know exactly how to get to it, but it's so good. I have strawberry tea like literally in my kitchen from there. It's so good. I have strawberry tea and I got lemongrass from there. It looks like an apothecary when you walk in there. So I'm like, I'm in a good place. Like this is good. And then like honestly, like when I go there, the girl who works there, she usually gives me a little bit extra on side. So I appreciate her so much, because I love tea. They actually have a whole tea convention that is like a week and a half long. That's where I need to be. So
what? Oh my gosh, that sounds incredible.
It's right after PAX. Like it's the day after PAX.
My gosh, it's like it could be the most healing thing, but also I'm like, oh, that'd be so exhausting.
Yeah, that would be really tiring.
Oh my goodness. I love tea as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like working on Wanderstop and like working on a tea game. I was like, you know, I really should have had more.
Yes,
I should have like
you sent that. Thank you for that. Oh my gosh. I'm still I touch the tea like so gingerly. I'm like, 'cause I can't get re-ups. So I'm like,
it's so funny because actually we custom, so for folks who are listening and are unfamiliar with what we're talking about, for Wanderstop, I did the creator kits for that, and we did custom teas themed from teas in the game. Mm-hmm. And that was a Seattle shop that we worked with called Friday Tea.
Really?
So it's actually a local shop. I don't know if they have those specific blends, but honestly, you probably could go with like the label for it and be like, do you think you could recreate this? And I won't put words in their mouth, but they may be able to at least get something close.
I'm doing that. I'm doing that.
Yeah. So Friday Tea in Seattle, shout out to them.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about something a little less cozy. We're talking about horror, which I have really grown to love as a genre. I think my first experiences with horror were a lot more like first-person shooter, really heavy gore and action, which was super stressful for me. But I've found that I've really loved horror thematically and within stories. And so like for me, that's why Mouthwashing is such a great game for us to discuss, because I can actually play it. And there's a lot to really dig into. I'm curious what, it's October, everyone's talking about horror. What attracts you to the genre of horror, whether in games or like other mediums?
Yeah, I like psychological horror. I'm the type of person. So when I live stream games, when you come into my stream and I'm playing a horror game, you might be laughing like your buns off. And the thing is, you should be, because the thing is, if I see it as like funny, but the thing is, if it's not funny and I'm not cracking jokes, it usually means like you have my full blown attention. I love things that make me that challenged me to think, like, why is this particular thing in the game? Why did the director, why did the art director, why did they choose to make this choice? Like, for example, I didn't have that like out of touch moment, called like my comedy breaks. I didn't have that like with Layers of Fear. Like the last like 20% of Layers of Fear, I was rooting for the ghost. I was like, this guy has to go. I was like, he's got to go. But the thing is, like in the beginning of it, because I don't know if you've ever played Layers of Fear, but like when you change, like if you change directions, like the art will change in the room. I've never seen that mechanic before. And it's like, why did the director choose that mechanic, which was very unique? So I really love things that really challenge me to think as the why that's there, and how does that also relate to things happening in real life, which a lot of elements and Layers of Fear could also attach to Mouthwashing. But also I love moral cliffhangers, which probably will drive a lot of people nuts. But that's why like I love Chilla's art. Like they're my favorite indie horror developer. They are based out of Japan. It was started by two brothers, I believe, and then they've expanded as they've grown. But I love Chill's art because a lot of them are moral cliffhangers. Sometimes, depending on what with which ending you get, it isn't always like straightforward. Like this is solved. Like my next YouTube video is going to be on one of those, on one of their games. And also like I love the queer representation. A lot. I also find that in games and also horror films. And also like when it comes to Black folks, like their whole era of like film noir, I love like how much you can play with it, and it can also be an inclusive experience that really like humanizes and levels a lot of us in our human experiences, and also the things that make us uniquely beautiful. So I love horror. I've always kind of, I was hoping you weren't going to ask me like what was my first horror game, because I was really trying to think. I'm like, what was my first horror game? Oh, I honestly, I don't even know what it would be. But I don't know. I feel, you know what? I think it might have been Fallout. And Fallout is not a horror game, but there are things in those vaults that are very horrific. And I'm like, oh, like, this is nuts. Help. Yeah, but that's why I love horror as a genre. I love horror elements, horror movies, games, like make me think about something. And then so I can apply it to my life, or so I can have a conversation with somebody. I love stuff like that. That's why I was an ethics minor in college, because I love stuff like that.
Hell yeah. Let's go. I was going to say like, that's amazing. And I think I agree. I feel like what I have really learned to love about horror is it's almost similar to what I love about like more wholesome, cozy games, where it takes a lot of mundane elements of being human and like really gets it to an extreme. And then the cozy games, it's like the extreme is the extreme sort of comfort and safety and softness, which I think is really fun to play with. But then horror, it's like, what if we take these mundane things and make them so like far removed of like the actual lived experience, but they're also like, because they're so amplified. Yeah, because they're grounded in it. And it's
it's like Jordan Peele. That's why I love him so much, because people are just like, when Get Out came out, they're just like, oh my God, like, people had adverse reactions to it, and I know exactly what they look like. But the thing is like, that's very based in reality. There's so much symbolism in all of his movies that anything he does, I will just eat up, because I know it's going to be a very deep experience, and I'm here for it. And that's also why I'm like, my favorite horror movie is Saw. But the thing is, I don't like the later Saws, because they kind of derailed from the moral thing. It became more about the gore and less about the point. And I'm like, help.
I literally had a conversation with my partner about this weekend, where we were like, man, the first Saw was truly so good, like so good. Incredible,
so good.
And then after Saw 2, it's like, even Saw 2, you're just like, we can see what's doing. We can see where the franchise is going to happen. And past that first one, it's just like, you've missed the point. You're exactly right. Oh, yes. That's so funny. See, this is why I knew you would be perfect for today.
We share a brain cell.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So before we get into the sort of news for this week, which is Steam NextFest, where can folks, because you mentioned you stream, you have YouTube, where can folks find all of that?
Yeah, I am Milady Confetti on all platforms. So that's Blue Sky, YouTube, TikTok. What else do I do? Instagram. Yeah, I'm literally on all the platforms. You can't access my Twitter, and I'm not sorry about that. Because I'm just not on there anymore. It's not active for me. But if you find something on there, yay. But
Yay.
yeah, I'm Milady Confetti everywhere. I just actually hit 7K followers on YouTube.
Congratulations. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna go get myself a little cupcake and celebrate.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that is where I'm at. I'm Milady Confetti everywhere. I'm very consistent branding.
Awesome. Perfect. So y'all go find Confetti, go just watch all of her content. It's incredible. It's awesome. So let's get into Steam NextFest. There were so many demos available
There were a lot.
this past week. Yeah, I saw the press release. It's like, I think it was 2,900 was the number they listed. So basically just about 3,000 demos available.
Wow.
Which is a ridiculous amount to
and
try
it's only
and
a week?
And it's only a week. Thank goodness, like developers have consistently realized that is just not feasible for most people to play. Yeah, any number of demos. So I've checked in most of them that if you've downloaded a bunch, because usually my habit is I'll go download a bunch and then like cross my fingers that I can just get through them.
Yeah.
Most of them seem to still be available. So if you downloaded demos and you're like, you probably still can play them.
Yeah.
I would guess. But I was curious with all of those demos from the ones that you got to play, what are the 3 highlights that you had?
Yeah. I did On Together because I really struggle with ADHD. I was diagnosed back in college, but I can't afford the medication because it's just a little expensive. So I was really I always look for tools that I can use that can help me streamline, my workflow and things like that. Like I use YouTube also, like as a tool. I'm looking over here because that's where my YouTube usually is up. So yeah, I usually, use tools on YouTube, but also I was like, okay, maybe this is something I can also use here. So it's kind of like a co-working thing where it's like on your desktop. Oh, I'm sorry, I blocked my camera. Where it's on your desktop, but it's not like overly invasive. Like I know for like Spirit City lo-fi sessions, you have to dedicate a window to it. I do need all 3 of my windows. They all do different things. So if you're looking at the podcast and I'm looking all over the place, I have 3 monitors in front of me and they all do different things. So yeah, I had that. I did Winterboro. I played the demo at PAX. Oh yeah, my first PAX West. That's when Infinity Nikki was there. I played that there and I was just like, I have to go back. And I love Winterboro and I need that to come out like right now. Please. And I did Bookshop Simulator and I ended up actually buying that one. Yeah. So that was fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Winterboro, let me actually look up. That is by... I'm trying to look up the devs for that game.
I met the dev. He is so nice, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah. Pine Creek Games is the studio.
Yes,
and then Noodle Cake is the publisher, which is such a cute name. I'm like, Noodle Cake? What else have they done? They've done other titles. They did the game. The only ones I recognize personally are Summer Catchers, which is like an endless runner game, Nuts, which was like a squirrel surveillance type of game,
okay,
and then Soundfall, which was like a dungeon crawler that had like a rhythm-based mechanic. That's cool. I also picked Winterboro.
Yeah.
That game is just so cute. I love survival games, but I'm like, so many survival games aren't cute.
Yeah. That's real. Yeah.
I'm like, I really wanted something like this where it's like almost a Redwall kind of theme where you're just like a mouse and there is danger, but there's also comfort. And I'm very, very much looking forward to it.
And that mouse, I remember the lead dev, he was saying that the reason why he picked that mouse was to bring awareness of its species. Wherever he lives, it's actually it got put on the endangered list. And, I know people have their feelings about mice, but they are necessary to ecosystems. We need them.
Yes.
And he put them on there because he wanted to bring awareness to them and make them, since it's cute and it's, a comforting game, to say like you don't have to do anything to them. They're very sweet babies.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think they're based they're in Europe. I think Denmark, maybe.
Don't remember.
Yeah. But so cute. And yes, mice, honestly, mice and pigeons are 2 creatures that I'm like, I actually am so I love mice and pigeons. And then, so yeah, I also put Winterboro as one of my top 3. It's just so good. I cannot wait. Goodnight Universe is by the team that did Before Your Eyes. Did you ever play Before Your Eyes?
No.
Okay, you need to play Before Your Eyes.
Okay. I will go do that right now.
Yes, right now. We're going to pause this recording. Actually, would be wild.
Be right back.
It takes maybe, I would say, an hour and a half to play. It's very, very short. But it is a game that, Before Your Eyes, is a game that uses eye tracking. So every time you blink, the scene changes and the narrative moves forward. It's incredible. It will also break your heart. Just be ready to cry. No, it's not scary at all. I promise. No scares. It will make you cry.
Of course I'm gonna cry, Jenny.
It'll break you.
I'm not blinking. Of course I'm gonna cry.
Just hold your eyes. Just oh, you're like, it's not happening. It's one of those games that I think is really interesting because it's also on like platforms like Netflix. So if anyone listening doesn't have a console, you can play it. I've played it on my phone, where if you're on Netflix, you can just put it up on your phone and use your phone's camera. And you can play it without a camera, but it's like using the eye tracking makes the experience. Like, it is a huge part of it. And yeah, super short. Everyone should play it. They're making a second game, and that game is called Goodnight Universe. And it's using similar, like, I would say, tracking type of, it's an evolution of sort of mechanics where I think it like tracks facial expressions a little bit. And it's about, you play like an infant, like a baby, and you're interacting with the world, and you have like psychic powers and stuff. So super cool. Love the demo for that one. And it's by the folks who made good Before Your Eyes, which I'm like, that's instant for me because they did such a good job with that one. And then the other one is for people who are like the Balatro, Clover Pit, you know, those kind of, if you're one of those like mini roguelike sicko, you know, this is a like mini retro roguelike in a slot machine. So you're using the slot machine mechanics to play the roguelike. Really fun, really like kind of gritty, dark visuals. Really, really fun. And it's by, this is the wild thing. This is by the solo dev who made Summer House, which was the cozy, like, decorating game. Yeah. So total, like, kind of 180 in terms of vibe and mechanic and everything. Still really fun. I'm so excited to see. Yeah. So much just like range in this person.
I wouldn't expect that at all. When you said that, I'm like, wait, what? Who?
Yeah. Summer House into Slots and Daggers. So, yeah, those were my 3, I think, highlights of the ones that I played. I didn't get to play as much because I was traveling. So that was really unfortunate. But I'm looking at the demos and hoping that people leave them up for at least one more week so I can like, try and just barrel through a bunch this weekend.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And in addition to the NextFest, have you been playing, watching, doing anything else that you feel like you wanted to shout out to folks that you've been really excited about?
Yeah, I have. Okay, so my going back to my PlayStation 2, the love of my life. I really love the Pac-Man games that were put on there. And I started in the wrong order. I started with Pac-Man World 2. And I think like on the PlayStation, probably like my top 3 games, like the most hours I have dedicated into them. Actually, no, let's do top 4. Crazy Taxi, Skyrim, and Kingdom Hearts, and then Pac-Man. My mom got me really into Pac-Man, so then I saw Pac-Man World. I'm like, oh, what is this? It's like a 3D world and you're Pac-Man and you do everything. Love it. So I've been playing Pac-Man World 2 repack. When I saw Pac-Man at PAX West, I went and tackled him and I felt a little bad. I was like, are you okay? I'm so sorry. They're like, I'm fine. Yeah, so I've been playing that. So I started my first Korean drama. Yeah, I started with Bon Appetit, Your Majesty.
Oh my gosh, I'm watching that right now.
Okay, yeah, so that was my first one, and I loved it. So now I'm on The Alchemy of Souls. That one is also very good. The thing that like caught my eye with them is like the practical sets, the stunts. Like, I love a set where I know like you can go down and sit down and touch it. Like I love seeing that. Like I am so over green screens, blue screen. Like I get why they're used, but like I think like Wicked like ignited something in me where I'm just like practical sets are it. Like you're not beating that. So
Yep.
yeah, I've been like really into that. So I'm in the middle of Alchemy of Souls. I think I'm on like episode 10 of the first season. But yeah, it's going well.
Like, yeah, what kind of drama is it? Because I know it's on, I've seen it pop up on my Netflix like recommended. I think was it Netflix? Maybe not. Maybe it was the Korean app I use. But
yeah,
is it like a drama, more romance, comedy?
There's romance and comedy in it. I feel like it's more like fantasy. If I would say like the overall thing is fantasy. Like it's a lot of magic. It's a lot of magic systems, power scaling. Definitely I guess like a period piece. Though I don't think in ancient times people were flying around. Maybe, I don't know. I wasn't there. But yeah, that I would say like overall, if I had to pick a genre overall that it is, I would say fantasy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Very cool. I'm actually watching Bon Appetit, Your Majesty right now. And so I'm always trying to queue up like the next thing. So oh, that's awesome.
Bon Appetit, Your Majesty was really cute. I was hungry though. I was hungry after every episode. I'm like, okay, we gotta watch this in the middle of the day because I can't go to bed feeling hungry. All from a show.
It's so good. And it's like every time they make a dish, I'm like, maybe I should make that tomorrow for dinner. Oh my God, same. I'm like, I could do that. I couldn't do that, but it's the thought that counts. Yep.
I have been waiting. Also, like, because I know like you're a reader too. I've been waiting for Cynthia Erivo's book to come out. I pre-ordered it. That would actually be my first audiobook. Because I really would like the hardcover, but sometimes I just be moving, and I love her voice. I love her speaking voice. I love her singing voice. That girl has a gift. And I just wanted to, I'm like, let me just listen to you talk, girl. Let me tell you your story. So, and I know like she's, been through a lot of things in her life, and a lot of things that she's spoken on that she's revealed like in interviews, have been very relatable, especially to like my own journey. So I said, you know what, let's give this a try. So I'm really excited. It's called Simply More by Cynthia Erivo. Oh,
I should put that on my TBR. I love Cynthia Erivo as well, and I'm so excited for Wicked 2. So I just love seeing that because she's always been such a powerhouse, but it's like in worlds that I think aren't as mainstream. And so like seeing her hit the mainstream and like everyone knowing how amazing she is has been so cool.
It has. It really, really has. Like when she can hum, and I'm just like, I'm sad. Anything. And I love that Wicked 2 is coming out on my birthday. So I'm like, this is gonna be
my gosh, the happiest birthday to
November 21st.
Sure.
Let's go. I'm so excited. So yeah.
Yes. For me, I have been playing a lot of Silk Song. I feel like I have such a love-hate relationship with this game because I'm so bad at it, but I have so much fun with it that I'm like, no one's watching me. I'm not streaming this, so I can just take my sweet time. But I am really having a good time. I think I'm getting close to finishing Act 2. So I think I'm getting close to where folks are saying that's like where credits roll and then like post-game content begins. But I've just been having a blast, like slowly working my way through. I think honestly, that is the best way to play. I feel like a lot of folks when they play, especially games like Silksong where the difficulty discussion comes up, there's a pressure to be like, I'm going to be finishing it at the same time as everyone else. I'm like, it took me like 20 hours to get through the first act. It's like it took me a long time, and I am like really enjoying my time with it. And I think that's the lack of pressure has really helped me play. And I feel like I am getting kind of good. Like I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I could if I played this again, I would feel okay streaming it because it wouldn't be like 50 deaths. Maybe I would be at 20, you know?
Yeah.
So,
How do you feel about like games like that are very popular but challenging and like the pressure to stream? Because I know like that's why I didn't stream Expedition 33 and I'm still in the middle of that. And it's taking me a long time to like get through it. But like I'm playing on easy mode and it is challenging. So like
that's not an easy game. Yeah, I feel like, so from the development standpoint, I will always encourage devs, like if you can, which I feel like if you plan early enough, you should be able to. I would love for every game to have more accessibility options and more approachability options where it's like, have an easy mode, have an easier mode, have like toggles to help things. That's my one critique of Silksong. I wish they did that because it's such a beautiful game that a lot of people will never access because they just don't have like
the skill,
either the time or the skill or both. You know, it's just like you take time to develop that skill. That's why I love Celeste. It is a hard ass game, but it creates opportunities for people to access it. And I think that's what makes it so powerful.
Yeah.
As far as streaming games like that, I personally do not. I think it's interesting because I streamed Hollow Knight, and I think because I have such a great community and awesome mods who are able to like wrangle people who are being rude.
Yeah.
Like I can set the expectation with my community of like, we're not playing this to be like in the get good crowd. We're playing this because I'm loving the art, loving the mechanics, and I'm stubborn AF.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I am nothing if not stubborn, and I will persist, and I'm having fun persisting, but I'm not doing it because I'm like trying. You know, it's just like a different mentality. I think Silksong for me and like Expedition 33 even to some extent. I will post Expedition 3 on YouTube, which I'm sorry for everyone waiting. I have a backlog.
Same.
But I have chosen to go to YouTube because it's easier for me to enjoy the game and it's easier for me to moderate what's going on in the comments versus live, because I've found that if a game is hyper popular and challenging, my enjoyment tends to be dampened by the fact that I am at least worried about what may happen when people come into chat that I don't know.
Yeah. I know like for me, like I don't know what it is, but like when I'm playing certain games, people also love to come in and spoil. And I think it's because like, I guess people get this sense like, I love to be surprised, like surprise me. Cause like every theory I've had about Expedition 33 has been thrown right out the window. I'm like, dang it, another one? Darn. Okay, let's start over. I have no idea what's going on. But like, I hate that. Like we just recently finished Silent Hill 2. I never played Silent Hill 2. I didn't know the twist at the end. I had no idea. And everybody came in like at that moment to see what my reaction would be. And I live for those moments. And I understand everybody's hatred of James. So I was just like, oh, okay. But like it's very tough for me to stream because it's like I want to fully enjoy the moments. And if it's something that I know is coming up, maybe I'll record it like on my phone. But like I love to be present with like my feelings before I take and make content on the thing that I'm doing, because it's necessary. And like, I don't know, with streaming, like you said, like when it's hard and then when it's popular, I understand like not everybody spoils because like they want to be mean. Some people are just genuinely excited. And like, I don't want to dampen anybody's excitement, but like, I didn't know that about the story. So, but thanks.
Yeah. It's like, you don't want to dampen their excitement, but also it's like, if it's a space that you're essentially hosting, it's like you don't want them to dampen yours. And so I think, you know, I've been on kind of a streaming hiatus and I'm hoping to come back, but it's, you know, so there's that too. But I think, I have learned to be more specific in the games that I pick to stream versus the games that I pick to play for myself versus the game I pick to post to YouTube, you know, because I think there are certain times I want to, like you said, preserve the experience and like be able to enjoy something on your own, I think is a really valuable just experience to have. So
yeah. Sorry, I know that wasn't on there. I was just like, I really, because I've been like feeling so bad because people are like, how's Expedition 33? How's it going? I'm like, girl, chill. I'm making it. Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, but it's like, it is interesting with how like playing games now is such a social thing. And so when you get experiences where you're like, oh, I want this for myself, or I would prefer nobody watch this, or
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone would watch this because it's taken me 2 hours and I'm on the same boss. It's like
Yeah.
there's a lot to think about, I think, in playing games and like social relationships, especially if you're doing it live,
Yeah. And I know, like, for me, like, I think, like, Kingdom Hearts kind of set me up like this, but, like,
Mm,
I love to explore every nook and cranny in a game. I don't
yeah.
care if there's nothing there. I don't care if I looked at it 15 times. I want to explore it again. I want to look at the thing. I want to see the water mechanics. Like, and that always doesn't translate well to live streaming. It's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Like, Riku's over there. Go talk to him. And I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to him right now. So like, I feel like my way of playing RPGs doesn't always like translate one to one.
Hmm.
Especially when also you have choices in the game too. And I'm just like, wait, what am I supposed to do? I'm so confused. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, it could be a lot sometimes.
Yeah. What's not an RPG, but a game that I think actually you should probably check out as well, just, add to the backlog, is this game I found when I was at PAX Australia called Proximate.
Wait, you've been to
The
PAX
developer,
Aus? Ah!
I just got back. It was absolutely amazing.
Oh my
I will
God.
say it was I was super lucky. I have to shout out the organization Vic Screen. It's their government funding agency for games. They essentially helped me get out there so I could like take pitches for wholesome games. I could like
Yeah.
help provide feedbacks to developers, do a couple panels. And then at the same time, there was this event, PAX Australia. And so shout out to Vic Screen for letting me be able to go. PAX Australia was absolutely incredible. If you ever have this opportunity to
I
make
would
it out
love to
there,
go. Oh yeah.
the incredible thing about it was that the games that present at PAX Australia are often not games that can afford to like come out to an event in Europe or to the US. And so I feel like when I go to a PAX or a PAX East or West, I am generally familiar with what's going to be there.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I feel like you might get the same thing where it's like you have a sense of what's going to be there. You probably maybe played a few of the games already. That was not the case at PAX Australia because so many of the devs do not make it to the events that like I normally go to, at least for me. And so
Yeah.
it was like, it was maybe the first time in a long time that I was truly like, I'm going to stand in line to play demos. Like, I am so excited to try games that I have never seen before. And
Yeah.
Proximate was one of those games, and it is phenomenal.
Okay. So that's the one I should play.
Yes, it
Okay.
is short. It is a sort of atmospheric, they call it dread driven, which it's like you're filled with a feeling of dread the entire time when you're playing it. You're filled with a
Okay.
little bit of anxiety because it's a narrative game where you only use sonar to navigate everything. You cannot see what's happening.
Oh God.
You have text that describes what is near you, but you basically are walking around unable to see, and you can only hear and use that text interface. And it is absolutely incredible. You're in this deep sea laboratory. You're trying to piece together the events that led to the whole team like dying, basically.
Okay.
And you're working is very like you're working for a horrible capitalist company,
Of course.
that kind of vibe.
Naturally.
Really, really good. The developer, I don't know if this is their first commercial game. I think it is. Their name is Kane. They got an award at the GCAP Indie Game Awards.
Oh, cool.
Really, really just seems like such a cool person. So the game itself is also $6 USD.
I just saw that. Yeah.
So I would say definitely a great like pick up, quick play. It's like maybe a couple hours long. I bought it as soon as I got home from the show floor that day. That's how much I love the
amazing.
demo.
And I've never heard of this. Thank you for that. Oh, and you
Yeah.
know what's interesting? This is similar to a game that you've played, Mouthwashing in Silent Hill 2. Now I'm really terrified. Thanks, Jenny.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
I'm just here to help. Um, so yeah, that's what I've been up to. And that's also to everyone listening why this month has been a little bit hectic in just terms of me posting about Geeks and Grounds and having everything ready. It's because I've been on the other side of the world and did not account for how busy I would be while I was there. They kept me busy, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Happy
And
for
then
you.
thank you. It was a really, really cool trip. And then it gave me a lot of time to read. I have read 2 books since we all last got to chat. The first one is called The Macabre by Kosoko Jackson. And that's, again, the whole month I've been into horror things.
Yeah.
It's a book about basically a person who is an artist who realizes their family's like sort of they have a family history of having artists in their family, and the paintings that one of their relatives painted are all like cursed, and their job now is to go and like unravel the mysteries of each of these paintings, break the curse, and there's horrific things that happen. It's a queer story, it's a horror story, it's got a little bit of that Dorian Gray kind of vibe, if you've ever read or watched like Picture of Dorian Gray, in the sense of like these cursed paintings kind of manifesting in like actual harm and like bad things happening. Really good. There's a little bit of this like globe hopping, jet setting heist vibe to it too, like very
we love
lightly.
art heists.
So yeah, that was a fun read. I barreled through it in like 3 days, loved it. And then I read this one. I'm curious if you've read this one. I think it's pronounced Catabasis or Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, who is a very, I feel like, divisive author just in general.
Yes, that I know, but no, I haven't read that. Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It's sort of this, it was billed as a dark fantasy.
Okay.
I guess it's kind of technically a dark-ish fantasy, but it really is just a journey about these 2 characters who are going into the different layers of hell to rescue their professor. And it delves into the abuses and sort of systems of the academic industry. And then it's sort of like got a very, very light, like side love story. But it's mostly about this student grappling with sort of the ways that being in academia has impacted her.
Okay.
Again, solid story. I think the trouble I have, and I've been trying to piece this together for the longest time because I have friends that absolutely love R.F. Kuang. And I'm like, what is it about her writing that I feel like I'm not ever really connected with? I feel like I'm never fully immersed in her books.
Yeah.
And I think I made this analogy to a friend and they're like, I think that makes sense. R.F. Kuang to me is like the Nicolas Cage of writing, where you know how Nicolas Cage is always Nicolas Cage in everything he's in.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily bad. It's just like
noticeable.
You just always know he's Nicolas Cage.
Right.
I think her writing is like that for me, where I'm like, I am always aware that she is writing from her perspective, which is like what every author does. But I'm just very aware it's R.F. Kuang writing this.
Yeah.
The entire time I'm reading. And I never get into the character and into the world in the way I want to.
Right.
But it was it was a fun read. I would recommend it. But it was just really interesting because I finally got to identify like what it is. I don't like get so hyped up over her that I think some of my friends like really enjoy. And I've been trying to piece it together. And I think I finally figured it out. So I appreciate the book for that.
Yeah. I think after this taping, I'm just going to send you an invoice, if you don't mind, Jenny, for the games and the 2 books, if that's okay with you. I'll just send that. I'll just send that over because I want all that. Yeah.
Perfect. And then just to close out, I have been watching, I haven't finished it yet, but I started The Substance last night, which is
how is that?
Horror film.
Yeah.
Okay. I love anything that deals with women in society having to sort of grapple with this concept of aging and how society interprets aging and feels about aging and how it's put onto the woman and how they interpret that. And The Substance is about this like sort of fitness acrobatics instructor who is getting older because that's what humans do. And what happens when she realizes that like she's going to get fired because, you know, they want to hire someone new and younger. And so it's body horror. It's about what she's willing to do to maintain her youth. And of course, the thing that she takes and does is not a simple remedy. You know, things start to go a little wonky, steam starts to go a little wrong. And it is really, so far has been really absurd, very, not for everyone. It's very graphic, gory.
Okay.
Like there is gore, lots of gross body stuff, but I haven't finished yet, but it's so far I'm very much enjoying it. So
okay. That's why I like wasn't, because I kind of like me and gore, I have levels of things I can tolerate, and like stuff like that I'm just like, even though the story is probably amazing, my brain just can't handle that. Like that's why like I never played like The Evil Within. Like my friend Diva like talks about that game so much, and I'm like, I know it's more than likely a decent game. I can't play it. It's too much. It's too much for me. Like I have my limits. That's why I love things that make you think. Like that's why like the other Saws, I didn't like them, because I'm like, this is so much gore. This is so much gore. Oh my God. Because like the original ones, it didn't focus on that. Like it happened, sure, but like it wasn't like everything. So yeah. But I'm glad to know it's good. I'm like, I know that this is probably amazing. I just can't.
Yeah, it's so tough. I would say like for folks who are like kind of like, squeamish around gore, not like into a ton of like body, blood, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Probably not for you. There are parts where I'm just like, I'm going to maybe sort of lightly look off into the distance until I hear things are done. But so far it's been great, and I'm probably going to finish it tonight, and hopefully the ending will hold up. But I'll talk about that next time.
I know though, it's so funny because if you like broke your arm in front of me, like a complex like fracture, that I could handle. But like for some reason in entertainment, I'm like, this is gross.
No, normally I'm not a gore person too, which is why I'm like really fascinated by, for some reason this year. And maybe it's because everything else that's going on, I'm just like, well, my brain is just my brain is just there now. But at this point, I'm just very into, especially like body horror. I think there's something really fascinating about it. So I've been not into gore necessarily, but I have been more willing to engage with media that has it, which has been fascinating.
Yeah.
So that is the end of the pastry case. Again, I'll send out the newsletter that has links to everything that we talked about. So if you want to also maybe not send me an invoice, but at least click the link and figure out if you want to wish list a game or pick up a book, I cannot afford all of that, but I would love to send it to you so you can find it. So if you follow the newsletter, you can sign up at geeksandgrounds.com for everything. So now that brings us to this month's brew. We are going to deep dive Mouthwashing, its themes, and how we are connecting to them. As always, we're going to start with some high-level summary and thoughts, just to give you a non-spoiler sort of sense of how we feel and what the game is about. If you haven't started playing, you still can. You absolutely can hop in the discussion. Even this late in the month, we have our hangout happening on Saturday. So if you finish it, it's only a 3-hour game, I think. Finish it by Saturday, October 25th. You can join the discussion in Discord. But also, if you'd like, that thread stays live. So if you hear this and it's later, you can always hop into the Discord and join the discussion. People, I think, especially with this game, would be excited to continue talking about it. So Mouthwashing, just to give the Steam description, just to give us a nice baseline to start from, just says the 5 crew members of the Tulpar are stranded in the empty reaches of space, shrouded in perpetual sunset. God is not watching. It came out last September 26th, 2024, and it's developed by Wrong Organ and published by Critical Reflex. And I am so excited because this is the second playthrough for both of us. So it's been a minute, I think, since both of us played, but it is a second playthrough. So we went in knowing what happened in the game. Confetti, did you want to dive in, just maybe give a summary on sort of the gameplay in general? What do people do in this game?
Yeah. I usually with games like this, I usually describe them as a Shift W game. Because that's kind of what you do. But it's the mechanics are very straightforward. First of all, I love the graphics. I love the kind of I don't know how you would describe it. Maybe pixelated? Is that the right way to kind of describe that?
Low poly, pixely, kind of grungy. The Shift W game, the tasks, there are tasks that you have to do. There's also puzzles. The puzzles are not very complicated. They are
straightforward. -1. I know we'll talk about that probably because I struggle. I remember struggling in one part the first time and the second time. I said, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" But yeah, so yeah, there's a crew of 5, and you go through and meet all of the members. I'm really bad with names, so I'm just gonna like read off here. There's Anya, Jimmy, Daisuke, and is it Swansea? I feel like I
Yes.
pronounced that. Okay, cool. And Swansea, and yeah, we're going through and trying to like figure out, because one thing that like threw me off about it is that it jumps in time, kind of like the first season
Mm,
of The Witcher. And so that first, like when I started playing, confused me, but so it doesn't confuse people to expect you are going to be jumping around in time, but it will all make sense once you get to kind of like the second to final part, kind of
yeah.
like what we're doing. But yeah, the game mechanics, very straightforward. Puzzles are not difficult. Some you might find challenging, but like myself, I found one a little bit more challenging than the rest. But yeah, very straightforward, and very fun. And the story, so interesting.
Oh my gosh, the story is, yeah. It's hard because I'm like, I love recommending this game, but I'm not like it's fun, but like you're not having fun, but
Right.
it's because it's good, but you're gonna have it's a bad time, but it's a good time. How do
I say like this is a game that will make you think. It'll make
Yeah,
you think about a lot of
absolutely.
things. It'll make you think about like interactions. It'll make you think about your job. It'll make you think about a lot.
Yes. And some content warnings to highlight. If you've played this, you will know. If you haven't, though, definite content warnings. It's a horror game. There are going to be scary situations specifically related to like death, murder, body horror, gore. Getting a little bit more specific, there is like mutilation happening. There is some consumption. So like cannibalistic type consumption implied / happening, and then sexual assault discussed, although it's never shown graphically at all in the game itself, but
Yeah.
it is a central discussion in the game. So definite content warnings, and just heads up for anyone hoping to engage with this game. If you have not played it before, definitely, as always, recommend looking up more details on games if you have any concerns on that, particularly on the Steam page, because I believe this one does have the disclosures.
Yeah.
And if not, definitely if you search it up, you'll find places that have it. I'm curious, before we jump into the spoiler discussion
Oh,
and the
yes.
deep dive, if you had a person you would recommend this to, like what kind of player, or not even just player of games, what kind of person in general would enjoy an experience like this?
I
Or would
think
value, maybe
I
not
think
enjoy.
people who I was gonna say moral dilemmas, but a lot of these aren't dilemmas. They're just right and wrong. Uh I would say anybody genuinely who enjoys psychological horror and also can handle the themes, the content like that you just went over. Um
Mhm.
because it's because I remember when I first played it through the first time, I'm just like, wow. Then I played through the second time, I'm just like, there's a lot of stuff that's like, there's a lot of deep things here. So if it's a game, it's a short game, and it's like a short game that'll allow you to think. I would say I would recommend to anybody who likes one of my favorite authors, her name is Ursula Le Guin. Like she'll always give you like scenarios, like these very crazy, fictitious, utopian, dystopian
Mhm.
scenarios. And then by the end of the short story, you're just like, are you kidding me? I would recommend it to like somebody like that who likes things like that.
I love that. Ursula Le Guin, also a favorite author of mine,
Okay, yeah.
and I definitely, that's a great call out. I love
Yeah.
that so much. Yeah, I think anyone, if you are able to approach the themes that we just shared above in the fictional script of this
Yeah.
podcast,
In space. In space.
in the think space, if you are okay with the themes themselves, I also think folks who may not see themselves as people who enjoy horror games, because this, for me, this was actually one. There are a few other horror games that maybe have been stepping stones, but this is the first horror game that really got me into like, oh man, this is what the genre could maybe really do.
Really? It was this one?
I would like, yeah,
Oh,
this one.
wow.
I would say Soma was probably like a stepping stone, because Soma's got that psychological horror.
Yeah.
You also don't have like active combat. You're mostly just, shift W in that
Yeah.
game too. But this game especially, I think, really hit on some things that, and I haven't really sought out horror before, so I'm sure there are many, many other really good games that would have done the same thing. This one, just shout out to Mike from the Indie Council. He recommended it. We played it there, and I would not have played it really if it wasn't for him. And I am so happy that he recommended this to me for that first time around that I played.
Yeah.
So this is a spoiler warning. After this, we're going to be discussing the game. We'll go through pretty consecutively, but because it's a spoiler okay section, if we're referencing the ending, we'll reference the ending. If we're drawing stuff a little bit back and forth, you may see some of that. So this is that last call for if you don't want to know what's going on.
Last call.
So the game begins with just this kind of blank screen and text that pops up. And it tells you the ship, the crew, there's 5 people. The trip is it's just over a year. It's like 382 days. And they're currently about halfway there. And then the text at the bottom says, "I hope this hurts." How did you feel?
Oh, I was just like, buckle up. I was like, well, let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready for pain. That's so to say horror is like such a like interesting category, because it's just like that's how like that's like the tone that you're already setting, and I'm just like, yes, let's go. I was just like, okay, what are we about to get into? Like on a serious note, because this wasn't something I streamed. I played this for me. So I'm actually also very glad that I did do this for me, because I feel like not knowing kind of what I was getting, because I didn't read the content warnings. I was just like, let's go. And sometimes that happens and it's a horrible experience, and sometimes it happens and it's great. This was one of the great moments. So I was just like, I'm ready. Like, let's go. Enter.
Enter. Let's begin. And the scene sort of glitches out, and we see this as kind of a tool used throughout the game to like transition us. Jarringly into the next scene, and we end up at the start of the game, the first time we can control anyone during this crash sequence. It doesn't say who we are. We've like locked ourselves in the cockpit, and we have to crash essentially the ship into a meteor. Then we leave the cockpit and we have this sort of nightmare sequence where we're walking down and there's posters for this cartoon character that's like a pony, advertising the Pony Express, which is the company we're working for. I'm curious, just in this first sequence, just how did you feel, especially knowing, and we can say this because we're spoiling, but we know that the first person that we are isn't sort of who we initially think we are, I guess. What were your thoughts in this first sequence?
I said, oh no, this is, I was like, is this ship ran by Voltec? That was like my first thing, especially like replaying it, because like right now over on TikTok, we're having like this huge discussion of like which, which in-game company is the worst. So I'm getting present with scenarios like this one versus that one, Shinra versus Abstergo, this with that. So the one that we're talking about was Voltec versus Umbrella. And I was like, I'm going with Umbrella. But like, that's why Voltec was like in my mind on my replay. I was just like, oh, this might be ran by Voltec. Oh my God.
Subsidiary.
Right. It probably is. And then like the Pony Express, like anytime that's ever in a game, it's never a good sign. So, you know, I knew like I was like, this is propaganda I'm being fed. Like, this is like the, we are a family, like we at your job, but like we're here to work. So I was like, oh, here goes the nonsense. And then like the hallway to me felt very long. And to me, like the mechanic of that symbolized it. Like it's something, it's not necessarily I'm supposed to pay attention to the words, because they're all like corporate logo, like don't get hurt at work, be friends, work together. But it was more so like kind of the ambiance, like I should be paying attention to this for a specific reason. And like the one thing, the couple things again that came to mind, I was just like, evil corporation, anything referencing the Pony Express is destined to fail. So when are we gonna fail? When's the ship gonna explode? My ADHD and pattern recognition is a nasty bug sometimes because I'm like, I know, just when is it gonna happen? So that's kind of what I felt like walking down the hallway there.
Yeah. And what's really great is I didn't realize this the first time I played, but the second time I played, you're playing this character, you don't know who you are, and you're walking down the hallway, and it's feeling increasingly like claustrophobic. The hallway is going on forever, like you said, and there's the sound of a baby crying, like way off in the background.
Yes, that is a baby.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so what's absolutely incredible is from the very first playable scene that you have, the developers are already foreshadowing like what is happening. You just don't know it as a player yet the first time you play, but there's a baby. And we know as we have finished the game, in that moment, you're playing Jimmy, who is crashing the ship, and he's got the guilt of like the sexual assault and the pregnancy on his mind. And that's what's really like haunting him. But in that moment, we don't know any of that. You know, if this is your first time playing, which I was like, oh, that's so good.
That was good. That was really good. And the thing is, you know, like I can audibly hear like what you're talking about. I'm like, oh my God, that literally was a baby. Yeah. That's that's genius.
So good.
That's very good.
So the scene cuts again, really jagged, to 2 months after. And every time it does cut, it does tell us where we are in the timeline. Like you said, it's a really jumbled timeline that we encounter in this game.
May I ask, how did you feel about that mechanic? Because I feel like both times I played, I didn't like it. Like I understand why it was there, but the thing is with horror and the way my brain works, and this is very specific to me. I'm not saying like developers don't change who you are. Like I love you down. But for me, it's something that can remove me from the game. Like when I play horror, I am like in it. Like unless I'm streaming, like the lights are off. This is insane. Please don't do this. Lights are off, doors closed. I got like a steamer going on in the back. Like I'm setting up the mood. If you do things that remove me from the game, I don't mind comedic relief. Like, you know, somebody coming in like Leon S. Kennedy and cracking a joke. I don't mind that. But like something like that, I'm just like, there's something wrong with my computer. Darn it. Like now I'm removed from it. Like, what did you think about like that kind of like abrupt like transition going from scene to scene?
It definitely, like, especially at the start, it did jolt me because it's meant to be jarring and kind of take you out, I think. I ended up liking it because I feel like it, especially near the end, the scenes switch so relatively rapidly where it goes from like, especially when it goes from like an hour until judgment one day before, you know, or 6 hours till judgment one day before, 0 days before, 3 hours till judgment. And that jumbledness, I think, fits the sort of chaoticness of, especially since we're mostly seeing it through Jimmy's eyes.
Yeah.
I think it reinforces him also as kind of this, like, he is not in a good mental place. Like, we don't know if he's like thinking all of this in these weird flashes. I think it also kind of establishes this uncertainty and unreliable narrator kind of vibe. I liked the jumbled scenes personally, but it does take a minute to like reorient yourself and realize where you are and who you are. But I found that for me to be really effective.
Yeah. I think toward the end, I started to get used to it. I just get like so nervous with technology. I'm like, no, please don't break. Oh my God. Like, I think like I just started to like go from like worrying about like whoever I'm playing and then like panic, like my technology is broken. I don't know. That's again, it's very specific, but I was always curious, like what do others think about that experience?
Well, and they do make it, because like the first time I also thought something broke in my computer because they have it like shutter and kind of do a glitch effect that looks like your monitor has just broken.
Right. And then the sound, like the sound skipping too. I was just like, no. So, okay.
Yeah. So I found it effective, but I definitely could see how it could remove you and then sort of make you have to like get back into the game again.
Yeah.
In that 2 months after, so now we're 2 months after the crash. And what we do is every time we get sort of the timeline, we are orienting ourselves either like before the crash or after the crash.
Yes.
And then we have a section that says judgment, which is like near the end. We meet all of our characters that you listed out already. You've got Swansea, Anya, Jimmy, Daisuke. We are playing Jimmy, and we know that the captain, Curly, is he is in the med bay because of the accident and the crash. And so, again, if you're playing it for the first time, you assume Curly's the one who crashed the ship. Yeah. Because he is the one who's hurt. So obviously it was he who did it. And so I think they do a brilliant job of playing with perspective and kind of putting you into, again, unreliable narrator perspectives where you are getting their perspective on what's going on, which isn't necessarily the one you would trust. you know? Like seeing the world from Jimmy's eyes is very different from Anya, for example.
Yes.
So since we are seeing the world as Jimmy, we are getting a very specific perspective.
Yes.
Jimmy is the interim captain because Curly is incapacitated. And I'm curious, just for each of their like personalities, did you have one like of the crew that were meeting, Swansea, Anya, Jimmy, and Daisuke? Did you have one that you gravitated towards, that you were like, oh, I like this personality, really don't like that personality? Could you tell me more about that?
I would say I gravitated toward Anya. I'm always gravitating toward medical workers, doctors, apothecaries, natural herb, like root work. Like I always like gravitate toward characters like that. I don't know if it's like it's like me, like when I play RPGs and I'm like, I want to be the healer. I don't know if it's like very much like the same thought process. But I automatically aligned with her because I know, one, how hard it is to become a nurse nurse, doctor, become very good at your medical field and in the medical field. And also I just thought that she was really sweet. And I'm like, and also I thought like, too, I'm like, oh, you holding it down with a crew, full of men and stuff like that and all these extreme personalities. I'm just like, girl, you got it. So I think that's why I gravitated toward her the most. And then I didn't realize how like much I don't know if relatable is the word, but like I feel like a lot of things like I've experienced similarly to Anya, like as the story went on. And it's very interesting because, we're in spoiler territory, but like, she's a nurse, but she has an aversion to blood. I used to be like that. And then I became an athletic trainer, and I mentioned like a compound fracture earlier in the podcast. But like, I've seen that, and I've had to like, I have had to stabilize that. And then like, I got over it because I'm just like, this person in front of me needs my help and I'm the person equipped to do it. So do your job, do what you were trained for. And to an extent, you got to take your emotions out of it because they need your help. It was from moral compound fracture, and that can be deadly. So I think that's also why I kind of related to her, because I understand having that aversion. It can be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Curly, like it's not even just like blood, like for Curly, and she's having to take care of someone who's like doesn't seem to have skin on most of his body, has like none of his limbs. So it's like, that is a super intense thing. And especially like when you first meet her, and that's like, I would not blame her for being disturbed and like not really, especially when you meet her and she's been told to like force medicine down his throat. It's like,
and then that's also,
it's like a really aggressive, like thing to do. And I think also on top of that, in addition to just like, there probably is an element of just like, this is a really like horrific thing to have to do. I think there's an element of her, Jimmy is the one telling her to like give the medicine. And I think she's nervous around him because we know, as spoiler territory, he has sexually assaulted her.
Yeah.
But also this idea of like, I think this idea of her having been forced upon, and then now she's seeing herself like she's forcing someone else to do something. There's like the conflict there and sort of the trauma coming out there.
Yeah.
And I also wondered because, she's about 5 months along, I think, if the math is right. And I don't know if morning sickness is a thing then. But I'm like,
Okay.
is she also like maybe still
Sick herself.
nauseous from pregnancy?
I
I've never
think
been pregnant. I don't know
so.
if it lasts that long, but
Neither have I. I'd have to call my mom on that one.
yeah.
I think yes, because I think it's a good thing you brought that up because I forgot which timeline we were in, but he was moaning and we couldn't find her. And
Mm-hmm.
I think she was in the cockpit, but she had like her hands like this and like
Mm-hmm.
this. And I was wondering if like that was bothering her, like if she was sick. Not sick to her
Mm-hmm.
stomach, like just because the blood and also like the trauma of being in an accident in
Mm-hmm.
space, dealing with all this pressure, like, you're supposed to be the medical person you have to keep together. I wondered that, like, is she experiencing, symptoms of pregnancy?
Mm-hmm.
And because I thought for a while, I was just like, did anybody else know? And then on my replay, I was just like, Swansea knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like more things started to align up more. And I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe it was just symptoms. And, people at Swansea was trying to like support her and protect her and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she might have been dealing with that as well, on top of all the other traumas, which is not good for anybody who's in like the first trimester of
Right.
pregnancy. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's like 2 months they've been crashed. They've
Right.
definitely not gotten any help. They're running low on food. Yeah. It's like for any normal person, that's already so traumatic. And then to be pregnant on top of that,
Yeah.
to be trapped with your assaulter.
Abuser. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's so much that she's going through that's like on top of everything else anyone else is going through. So, yeah, for her, it's like what I think is really interesting is when we first meet her as a character, we see her through Jimmy's eyes and we think like, I don't know, he portrays her as such a weak character in his
Yes.
perspective.
Yeah.
And
or incompetent. And I'm like, she's
Yeah.
not. She's not.
Yeah.
She's literally why Curly is alive and trying to do his best to keep him stable.
yeah.
Because what did she have? Like when you went into the medical bay for when he was injured, what was on the screen? Oh my God, I screenshotted, but I can't remember it. Was it like a bridge or
Oh, like the sunset in the
was
background?
it
or
the
like
sunset? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it's like
I
a
don't know.
sky or something, I
But
think.
she was doing everything she possibly could to like keep him mentally like present, like keep him stable. So she was doing everything she possibly could with the limited resources that she had. Like Jimmy pisses me off so much for like
yeah.
so many things.
Yeah, I
But
have no kind words for Jimmy.
I have zero.
None.
Zero.
So yeah, we meet Anya again through Jimmy's eyes. But we meet her. I agree. I think it's interesting because there are folks who are very much like, oh, I don't think she was actually very good at her job. And I'm like, I think it's because I think you're meant to think that initially. The devs did a really good job of making you think maybe she's not good at her job. But then when you play, you do learn that she's like you said, she was able to keep Curly alive for months afterwards.
Yes.
On top of everything else she was dealing with. Like she is not a bad doctor. We also meet Swansea, who's this like really gruff dude. He seems very much like red-blooded kind of dude. He's just like, doesn't really like to talk much, seems kind of like he kind of bullies and doesn't treat Daisuke very nicely, but he is sort of the mentor to Daisuke. He's the engineer. He takes care of like all of the engineering stuff on the ship. Daisuke is kind of the intern who is like really sweet, happy-go-lucky, kind of naive.
Yeah.
But he's a sweet guy. He's like kind of a mama's boy, I feel like. He talks about how his parents really wanted him to do this job, so they forced him to do it. And he's like, I just want to do my best for them. So again, like not the most like street savvy person, but he's sweet. He's just trying to keep his hopes up,
Yeah. Get some life experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So we meet each of them. We learn that we are on the Tulpar. Things are really bad after the crash. They're in dire straits. And like Curly, he's not doing great. Honestly, that existence is not one I would want to be in personally.
Nope.
And Anya says a line that I think is one of my favorite quotes to think about with this game, which is, I have to believe our worst moments don't make us monsters. And she's referring to the fact that she thinks it's Curly also who crashed the plane or the spaceship.
Yeah.
And she's trying to say like, hey, I'm trying to think the best of this person because like, that's just who she is. She's trying to see the best in Curly, even though he did this horrific thing.
Right.
It makes me wonder also the way she thinks about Jimmy, and even despite everything Jimmy does, she's still trying to find ways potentially to forgive him or at least live with him because they have to. So I think that quote for me is the one that really stands out from this section.
Yeah.
Because and then the quest. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because then it's like carried out throughout the entire game. And it's like so interesting how like something that Anya is like truly using to cope with her situation, because she thinks, Curly put them in this situation and she's trying to, be positive and trying to remain hopeful. Like somebody like Jimmy took like this quote of hope and then bastardized it. And but it's so interesting how like that phrase that started out innocent, like turned so dark by the end. And it's like, if I hear that one more time from you, I might jump through this game and hurt you myself.
Right. Well, and again, kind of, we're going to have to flash back and forth because there's just so much at the beginning of the game that goes into the end. So
yeah.
Sorry to everyone who is like, wait, you're jumping just as much as the game is jumping around. Well. But what I think is fascinating is she's like starts with that quote and is talking about Curly, even though he wasn't the one who was doing anything, but she doesn't know that. And then at the very end, she ends up like overdosing on pills and choosing to die and choosing her own way out, essentially, rather than allowing Jimmy to kind of choose it for her. And so for her, I think she says it again, or maybe I was thinking about this quote so hard by the time that she is at that point at the end where she says like, I have to believe our worst moments don't make us monsters. And it's so sad because it's like her worst moment like could be in choosing death. It could be in also the worst moment of her life, maybe when she was assaulted. And she's like constantly defined and grappling with this idea of the worst moment in her life. And that's like constantly how we see her. Yeah. And I think that for me makes Anya so I feel so bad for Anya because I'm just like, I wish we knew you when you weren't at your worst, when you weren't in the literal like hellhole that you were in. So yeah, for me, Anya is like a character that I just really, I don't know. She's on my mind a lot. Yeah. So 2 months after the crash, they finally decide to open the cargo hold because they're like, hey, we're trapped here anyways. The company doesn't seem like they're going to get to us. So let's just like see what we're carrying. Maybe it can help us. Maybe there's something useful. Mm-hmm. And then everything cuts and we don't find out what it is because we then flash to 7 days before the crash. So now we're in kind of like the jumble timeline. Yeah. We're playing as Curly now. So Curly is alive and well. The crash hasn't happened. And he's going through psychiatric evaluation with Anya because she's the doctor. Yeah. And they actually end up discussing Jimmy. Did you want to dive into like what they talked about with Jimmy's behavior, especially to Anya?
So, they're talking about the psych eval and Jimmy, when Anya was giving Jimmy his psych eval, he had some very inappropriate answers to give her. And I immediately knew, I said, this man is a villain. That was all I needed to know. I didn't know how that was happening. I knew like, even if Curly ended up being the person who crashed the plane too. Crashed the ship. If he ended up being the person to do that, I'm like, Jimmy still needs to catch a stray because that is inappropriate to say to anyone, especially your crewmate who happens to be the only woman on the spaceship. But I won't repeat what he said because it actually made me very uncomfortable. But it was very sexually related, and this is something that Anya is supposed to take in, write down, and then I assume like report to corporate to make sure like everybody's okay and we don't need to abort mission or whatever the contingency plan is after that. And then Curly was just like, whoa, not okay. Like, I love how, like, professional he was. He was just like,
Mm.
thanks for letting me know. That's not cool. Let me go take up his answers with him. And I love that he like checked him right then and there. It's just like, that's not cool, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I
I
feel like though oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
No, I
I
feel
lost my
like,
thought anyway.
oh, I'm sorry. I think I was like hopeful at first when he's like, let me talk to Jimmy. Cause then I was like, okay, cool. He's going to like
Address it.
really deal with it. But I think what I was disappointed with Curly because he brings it up to Jimmy and Jimmy like kind of plays it off as a joke. And
He
then
does.
then Curly's kind of like, well, just don't do it again. And it's like,
Yeah.
you think that's gonna do anything like it feels like he's sort of just kind of like almost like a boys will be boys, like Jimmy, just don't be such a jokester.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. I feel like you should have been a little bit harsher with him, or a little bit more of
Stern.
like a definitive hand slap, of some sort versus just like a light finger waggle.
I think I feel like why he didn't, and I'm not excusing this because he should have been more firm with him. I feel like Curly, the way I viewed Curly, I'm gonna make a lot of Fallout references and I'm not sorry about it. But I feel like he was kind of put into like the worst overseer position. And I think a lot about my favorite vaults and also the short story that's based off called The Lottery, and where a lot of people want to in precarious situations because they're in a spaceship, they're in space, they're in a very enclosed space. So how do you balance all of these strong personalities? It might not be your favorite personality, but all of them in a sense they do have very strong things about them. How do you balance all that without Jimmy lashing out? Because I think I don't know if when this conversation was happening it didn't feel clear to me, but maybe it's clear to you that he knew about Anya's assault and pregnancy, but also potentially knowing that he's a disgusting individual, not for him to lash out at Anya. So like playing a very, very fine line with a man whose ego is as large as outer space, and in dealing with somebody whose personality really can't go toe to toe with Jimmy.
Yeah.
Like Anya does have a lot of strong things about her, I feel, but like against a Jimmy, like, and especially already because she was already pregnant at the time and the assault already happened. I feel like what he was trying to do was trying to find a balance, but it doesn't excuse it because like, I feel like that's really tough because like, going back to like Volt 11 and then also the lottery, like these people are in a very peculiar, like a very delicate situation where they don't want to put themselves or put other people that they care about in harm's way. Please just watch a playthrough of Vault 11 or read Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. I think The Lottery, I think it's like a 12-minute read, and it will.
It's a good short story.
I will not say sorry for the emotional scars you may or may not get, because it leaves off in a cliffhanger. But I feel like that's maybe why. And being in a leadership position, you have so much responsibility because not only is he responsible for the crew, he has to talk to corporate all the time. He's responsible for getting the cargo where it needs to be. They're on this thing for an entire year. Do they have the supplies that they need? Are they bathing? Is everybody okay? The cycle, like it was just a lot for him to kind of keep track of. So I'm not excusing it. And to a very short extent, I understand why he did what he did. I don't feel like Curly is the boy, like boys will be boys type of thing. I don't get that from his personality. Seeing everything played out, but I think he was just playing a really fine line and trying not to make anybody explode. Especially, I would say like the person's anger who I was worried about the most was Jimmy. Like Swansea, I feel like was put there as like a decoy. I was really worried. Yeah. I was worried about Jimmy from the start, especially when he said, "Well, since Curly's down, I'm the captain now." I said, here we go.
Yep, for sure. No, I do agree with you. I think what's really unfortunate is I think I have a lot of like, we all have personal feelings that go into when we play games, but I think personally, I just feel I am really frustrated with like the Curlies that I see in life. And so I think as playing, and Curlies, what I mean by that is people who are in positions where they have like some sort of power, and they, while well-intentioned, don't necessarily do what they need to protect those that they are in charge of.
Absolutely.
And so I totally agree with you, where I'm like, maybe he wasn't a total boys will be boys kind of guy, but like he definitely, whether through negligence or maybe just not knowing what to do, and so like just the lack of training, just was not able to do the job he was hired to do. And that's not necessarily his fault. I mean, it all goes back to, there is this company that has poorly equipped the ship, poorly equipped the people.
Yes.
And put them in a situation that Curly had to take up this mantle that he was not ready or capable of taking up.
Yeah.
And he is trying to do the best he can, but I still just personally feel so frustrated by his character, because
absolutely,
like, yeah, he's one of those people where I'm like, I see you so much in real life that in a video game, I'm like, God damn it. Can you just like listen?
Yeah.
Can you listen? So yeah, I do agree with you. I don't think he's malicious, but I do think he causes harm.
And
that Yeah,
and I was wondering too, like, what would be his recourse? Like, what could he do?
Yeah.
Like, what is a write-up gonna really do anything when you're light years in space? And then we find out like later, like, which doors lock and which ones don't. So it's like, what is the punishment that he could do on a place that doesn't even have locked doors?
Yeah.
Because I would have just thrown him out the ship personally, but I'm a little extreme because he makes me mad. But yeah, because I was also wondering that too by my second playthrough, because I didn't think about it during the first one, but I was just like, what's the punishment? What if anybody, what is the punishment if a crime is committed on the thing? What is then the captain's recourse? And then what happens when a person in a position of power does something wrong? How do you mitigate that? And what resources do you have? Because it didn't seem like they had any even before the crash when it came to things like that. Because, he's also the co-captain. So it's like, he might not be Curly, but it's enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah. It's funny because I don't know if he technically was he technically the co-captain? I feel like he acted like the co-captain, but I don't know if he actually was, because
I think he was.
He was? Okay. Because I think the one thing is there's nothing definitive that the company gave them where Curly could have, through the company's structure, done anything to help. What I had wished, and again, this is like not something Curly would have done, but I wish like Curly had the strength to understand that Jimmy, however much Jimmy was envious of Curly and like disrespected Curly in some ways, still looked up to Curly. And I feel like Curly could have taken advantage of like the respect that Jimmy seems to have for him and try to like be a little bit more firm. And again, it's like, I don't know what you could have done. And I think that's the pain, like the most painful part is like, when you think back to it, it's like he could have been more firm. That would have probably escalated things. How far, like we'd be having a different conversation. Then it's like, well, then what if, how far would it escalate?
Yeah.
Because with Jimmy, I do agree. I think he would have absolutely blown up. But it's tough because you would never know because nothing was done. And Anya was the one to like take the brunt of that. Yeah. And so like every part of this sucks.
Yeah.
Which is the worst.
Everything is awful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm trying to see. This was good. I'm glad. This was like the type of discussion we do for sure. I'm just trying to figure out like, where can we hop back in? Basically we did the psych eval.
Yes.
A couple of facts we learned. Daisuke was a last-minute addition to the crew. Again, a testament to the poor planning of the company, because they don't have enough resources. They don't even have enough cryopods for everyone. They only have 4. They have 5 team members. We learned that there's so much bureaucracy. Like they need the captain just to unlock the axe.
Yes.
They need like
oh
the
my
codes
goodness.
to unlock like sugar and cake ingredient. You know, it's just silly things. It's like
It's
being
a
treated
lot.
like children.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get a moment with Curly where it's a surreal moment. It's not based in reality, but he is walking down to the cockpit, and he basically walks into like a red sort of like bloody sea,
Yeah.
and he's in the galaxy. This feels very like Evangelion to me. It's a very anime moment.
Yes.
And there are these giant warning signs and crumpled ladders that you walk through as he continues towards the light, essentially.
Yeah.
For me, what this felt like, look, at the time I first played this, I was like, I have no idea what's happening.
Same.
It seems bad, but I don't know
like,
what any of this means. But this second time around, I think like I wrote some notes down, and I wrote that he is just walking past the literal warning signs of like everything that's about to go down. Which if he at least tried to plan with Swansea and the others, like something about Jimmy, like they could have tried something, but he's just ignoring it, and just kind of enabling the behaviors to continue to happen. And I also, the crumpled ladders, later on with Jimmy, Curly and Jimmy talk a lot about like climbing the career ladder.
Yes.
And for me, this was like symbolic of sort of both the fact that he's stagnant and his career is about to crumple and end, but also he feels stuck sort of at the top and doesn't really know what to do. So Curly's got his own issues that he's dealing with.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add to like that section of the game.
Yeah. I felt like, cause then I feel like this is when I felt the perspectives were changing. So we went from that to Jimmy to Curly. I was very surprised to see Jimmy. I'm like, whoa, hi. I felt like this is going to sound nutty, but that's okay. Cause we're all mad. I felt like we were in Curly's personal wonderland, but I knew nothing about what he was going through. And that is a reference not to Alice Madness Returns, but actually the Alice Asylum game we never got, where we find that everybody, like a lot of people, prominent people, they have their own personal wonderlands and navigating their own stuff that they have to do with. So pretty much their own little world and how their subconscious kind of affects their behavior, affects their imagination, how that kind of translates into the outside world. I felt like that's what we stepped into, but I didn't have, because like it's going to Alice and Alice Madness, like we know we're playing as Alice Little, like we know, but we don't know all of the things of why she is quote unquote mad. So that was kind of like so we had, that kind of basis, like we all know the basis of Alice in Wonderland. But I feel like with this was kind of like, what did we just step into? And what also I felt a lot of pressure in this scene too. And I don't know why. Maybe that wasn't intentional. Also could be the ambiance. I was playing in the dark, the steamer's going off, the cats are asleep. It's just me. So it could have also been the environment that I put myself in. I'm just like, either something bad is going to happen or we're just going to vibe. And nothing horrible happened, but I was just like, we stepped into some nonsense. I was like, oh, so everybody has their own stuff going on. I can't wait to see how this blows up in our faces. Right. Referring back to the Pony Express. I'm like, this is going to be great.
Well, it literally, I mean, this is maybe in poor taste. I'm like, it literally blew up in Curly's face.
Yes.
So there's that. Sorry, maybe too soon, but yeah, I think the idea of pressure is really good call, because now that I'm thinking, you mentioning it makes me think of how like Curly has this pressure as captain. He's trying, like he talks about how he wants to keep people safe and he wants to like listen and everything. So it's like, I think he does feel that pressure. So I don't think it was a mistake that you felt that by the devs. I think, and I think there's also pressure for him just individually, because again, he's at this point where he has stagnated in his career. He's at the top. He doesn't really know what to do next. There's probably pressure to change. But instead of doing that, he's like, well, instead of changing, I'm going to like, I'll bring my friend Jimmy on this next trip. I'll mentor him and like I can take him under my wing. And like he's feeling pressure, but he's, instead of doing anything about it, like staying in the same place. So I think that's actually a really good observation. Thank you for making sure to call that out.
Yeah. And I think too, like the thing between like Jimmy and him, because like that's the first time like we're seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
This could be me. It could be the graphics. It could be before we knew like Jimmy started like fawning over him, I felt like Jimmy like looked at Curly kind of with disgust. And sometimes the people closest to you be your biggest haters.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all the red flags were just blaring off with Jimmy. Like, I was just like, I already didn't like you. Then I saw you. I was like, I really don't like you. And then the story continued off. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Not nice words coming out of my mouth because I can't actually say what I feel. Yeah. So I was just like, I feel like, you know, I feel like Curly's intent, like with like mentorship and trying to like get him to, that's why I also thought he was the co-captain, because when there was 2 seats in the thing, it wasn't just one. And then when they were trying to do something, they were like, you know, reading off of each other. Kind of felt like how the pilot and co-pilot are like in an airplane. You know, you have your person that's your backup person. You go to the bathroom, you know, they take control, things like that. And also like the mentorship part, because you can't just go be a captain. You know, you have to start somewhere. But I was just like, that man's a hater. I was like, Curly, you better run. I don't know where you running because you in space, but you better run, girl.
Yeah, it's funny because like, man, everyone keeps trying to look into the best for Jimmy. And I'm like, I understand that. I understand wanting to see the best in people.
Absolutely.
Because you that's just like, we should do that. We should strive for that. But what is so frustrating is like, yeah, you see, I think you're right where Jimmy is a frenemy for sure. Like he wants what Curly has, and but he doesn't actually like, I don't know. I feel like
he doesn't
on the
work
surface
to get
level, he doesn't work to get. He absolutely does not work to get it. And I think on a certain level, it's like he's so jealous of Curly that's like he's not actually Curly's friend. I think he's too selfish and too like uncaring to truly have a friend. He just sees what he wants to be, and like he gets close to people who he thinks is what he wants to be, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense. Like my mom, she always used to say this, like, because when I would run track and like, you know, do the medals and things like that, I remember I competed in a heptathlon for the first time, and I came in first. Crazy work. I don't even remember that day. That's how intense that was. But no, people had the assumption that like that's the easiest thing to do. And my mom said, I remember her saying this like specifically when we were leaving the university. She was just like, people will see your glory, but they don't know your story. They do not see, you know, you taking the ice baths. They don't see, you know, how much she said I spent in icy hot because I was in pain. She's like, they don't see like, you know, you watching track videos and how to perform, and they don't see that part. They just see a gold medal. They see you got a gold medal and a watch. It was like a cheap little thing. It wasn't anything. I don't even have it anymore. But like they see that, but they don't see all the other stuff behind there. And then like when I'm thinking back, because like when he was like idolizing Curly, and I think back to the blood and the ladder scene, and I'm like, you know, you're kind of like pushing through because he's not moving particularly fast, you know, again, shift W. But like, it's just like, you know, all the stuff he's probably had to go through, all the stuff he's probably had to bury, all the conversations and the trainings and the things he had to do to get in the position that he's in. Jimmy doesn't see that. He just sees Captain Curly, the Pony Express's best captain ever. You don't know what Captain Curly had to go through to get there. And now he's like, so yeah, he's definitely a hater. Frenemy. Yeah. He is definitely that.
And it's so interesting because like maybe even like the thesis of this game in terms of like just phrases is that take responsibility. Yes, and it's funny because like Jimmy is constantly talking about taking responsibility, and yet he has no idea what that means. And so I think that's a really good point where it's like Curly has done the work. That's how he got, you know, and it's like Jimmy just wants to get the result. He does not have any idea what taking responsibility actually means.
Yeah. Because I feel like when they were like, "Oh, take responsibility," it's like I felt like he was like the big man when Anya, couldn't feed him or couldn't feed him Curly the pain pills, and Jim was like, "I'll do it." Like to him, that's taking responsibility. No, that's just helping out your coworker. That's not.
Yeah.
It's not anything big, my
Yep.
guy.
Yeah.
That's just being a team member. Oh, Jimmy.
Yeah. And it's literally like also one task. And how long have you been on the ship? What else have you done? Like, what do you do here?
Thank you.
Other than being a captain of a broken ship at this point. Like
that could be the thesis right there. That could be it right there. You chewed on that. That's it right there. Like is this also audio and video? Because
Yes,
I'm just
it
making
is both.
expressions. Okay, I'm just for those who are listening, I'm just making expressions and just like yes in the back. So less. I'm just
Amazing. So yeah, we go through this where we are back to 2 months after we learn that the cargo is just mouthwash. There's literally nothing else of use in this ship. It is just thousands of boxes of mouthwash that is even too sugary to be good mouthwash.
Yeah.
Or, disinfectant. There's no use to this.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm curious. Just what were your reactions when they opened up the box? Like, what are you thinking? Especially because the game is called Mouthwashing. Like, how are you connecting this all together?
Yeah. At first, you know what I thought? I was just like, oh, these are like the sugary mouthwashes I like had as a kid. Just to get like kids like in the habit of doing, having mouthwash in addition to like brushing your teeth. I was just like, okay. And then there were a couple things that came up and I was just like, okay, this is probably why it's called mouthwashing because it's too sugary to disinfect anything. So it's essentially useless. And I was just like, oh, like literally what you just said, because it just all clicked like being a captain of a broken ship. Useless. Thanks. Thanks, my guy.
Yeah.
And the thing is like real mouthwash, it has, certain levels of and alcohol in there. I don't know which alcohol. I'm not a chemist. But it has, the things in there that are supposed to actually do its job to perform, to clean your teeth. And yeah, they didn't have that in real life or in their cargo. So I was just like, And also, Curly, when he's in the medical ward, his mouth is very visible. He also doesn't have like lips. So you always see his teeth. I also noticed his teeth are like pristine. That's something that I also
I never
keyed into.
I never like keyed into that. Oh my gosh, that's such a good detail.
Because even like when in athletic training, like I did not go to medical school, but ATs are kind of like a jack of all trades. And that's why you should always be nice to your athletic trainer, whether you're in college or in high school. You learn a lot of things and a lot of issues, like when it comes to health things can, if you can't really find anything, they always say like, look at the feet, look at the teeth. Your teeth you can have something that can be wrong with you that can be causing you to have some type of infection, that can be causing you to have migraines, that can be causing you to be off balance. So to look at the teeth, and I'm just like, he has pristine teeth. So obviously I don't think Curly has ever used anything like this. But the thing is, I feel like his teeth being pristine, going back to our conversation about like, putting in the work to do that, that shows me that he is very well groomed. He's a person of routine. He might like a Levi Ackerman, just not as intense. Like, he's somebody who is of habit and he has taken very good of his teeth, unlike Jimmy. I mean, I don't know what Jimmy's teeth look like, but it's just something that I noticed.
Yeah. That's a great, I did not even think about that. That's such a great detail. Yeah. And I wonder, like, it's interesting because I feel like mouthwashing could be applied, or the mouthwash specifically. Yeah. Like, I think most directly I connect it to Jimmy for sure. I think a little bit of like Curly as a leader had like, not, again, I think he's a nice guy, but I think he's an incompetent leader.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think, like, again, the different levels of uselessness that we are seeing across the ship. Definitely the system that they live in within itself, where it's like they have nothing that they can use. Everything is kind of like useless and wasted. Like
Yeah.
there's cake ingredients, but no, like, I don't know, vegetables or protein. Like
Right.
we literally
Yeah.
only have cocktail and cake in the recipe book.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely, I think you spot on in terms of just like what mouthwashing kind of means in terms of the game as a whole.
Yeah.
Um,
And like sometimes you wouldn't even know like that you have a cavity unless like you're obviously in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But sometimes like that takes time to wear down your enamel of your tooth. And then for you to start showing pain and things like that. So that's something that takes time. You don't just wake up and have a cavity. So I feel like the thing over time, like with Jimmy, is like this festering resentment to maybe somebody who used to be his friend. But the thing is, Curly's a little bit too blind to that because maybe they're too close, but he didn't realize like there's something decaying that's very close to you. And that is going to be ultimately that costs you everything. And that everything and that rot was Jimmy. And he just didn't pluck it out. Mouthwash is going to save you from a cavity, but it could help, with disinfecting and things like that. But ultimately you gotta take the thing out or replace it or fill it in. You got to do something with it. So that's kind of what I came to. And I was just like, maybe that's wrong and too outlandish. And I'm thinking way too deep.
No, I think that's spot on. I think that's a really good point. And so thinking about like how cavities start like so small and they grow.
They do. Mm-hmm.
I think about so I'm jumping ahead. We know we've lost
the timeline.
Yeah. So 2 days before the crash, Curly and Anya have a conversation in front of the window that's like meant to simulate real life environments to like give them a sense of nature, even though it's all fake. And Anya talks about how like she loves this like night sky scene.
Yes.
But there's like a dead pixel up in the corner and she's like, I can't not see that dead pixel. And Curly is very much like, I'm just about seeing the whole. I don't see that dead pixel because the whole is just so beautiful. And I think that goes back to what you said about the cavity perfectly, where he doesn't see, he just feels the mouth. He doesn't understand that there's something in his tooth starting to rot. If he doesn't take care of it, it'll ruin everything. And I think pixels, and you'll probably know better than me, or someone listening will know better. But I feel like if you have a dead pixel on a monitor, like it increases your chance of having more dead pixel. Like it's like a sign that your monitor is going to die or like something like that. Yeah. And so I think this idea of like just that one tiny little blemish, like you need to pay attention to tiny things. Yeah. Because they make a big impact if you let them sit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love the analogy you made.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, yikes. When they first said sugary mouthwash, I said, this is a load of crap. I said, throw it out. It's useless.
Oh my gosh. But also, okay, this may be getting like reading way too deep, but I feel like there is a system, capitalism, that is producing this mouthwash, right? Yes. They are creating the situations in which these cavities are going to happen. They're giving it to consumers. And so again, it's like we are in a place where, yes, I would love Curly to have acted differently. I would have loved Swansea to act differently. I wish Jimmy wasn't even on the ship in the first place, but they are set up by a system that put them there. And the system itself is so corrupt, is like, it is just like going all the way down or all the way up, depending on how you think about it. And it's like the mouthwash is indicative of that. It's like this system is setting everyone up to have bad teeth.
Yes.
It's like there's a doctor's warning on this mouthwash. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Damn. This game.
Yeah. And sugar, man, sugar, that because a lot of our diets is like very sugar heavy. Like sugar in itself is not horrible for you, but like there's so much of it in our diets and things like that. Like, if you don't pay attention, it can get away from you. So yeah, I was also like thinking about that. I was just like, darn it.
It's too good. It's too good. I'll go a little bit faster through this last bit because I think we're hitting on a lot of the big themes and character stuff already naturally.
It's so hard to talk about one thing in isolation. That's why. Yeah.
It's especially in a game like this where it's all so intertwined.
Yeah.
After we do that, we hop to 6 days before the crash. Curly is having the one single mandated birthday party they get that year. Yeah. They make the cake, and this is where we find the catalyst for, I think, what really like sets people off, especially Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the news of Pony Express's bankruptcy. We don't immediately know it's bankruptcy. We have the note, but the note's like illegible to us. So we don't know until Curly tells everyone at this birthday party, the company's bankrupt. Like, we're all not going to have jobs when we
Yeah.
get back.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone essentially panics because you get the impression that they live in a society that is already super capitalistic. They're not super well off. The only one that has maybe a little bit of hope is like Daisuke, because everyone's kind of like, well, his parents will take care of him because he's so young. He only came here for like the internship.
Right.
And, you can see he's like quiet the whole time because he also kind of realizes that, where he's like, oh man, everyone else is in this really dire situation. I'm kind of just like the kid here a little bit. And yeah, they all really just start to panic and just have their own immediate reaction. We switch to 2 months after the crash, so we flash back again.
Yep.
And we see Anya and Swansea chatting in the cockpit, which is the conversation that you referenced earlier, I think, where you also kind of learn that Swansea maybe also knew about the assault, or at least about the harassment at the very least.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're talking about something kind of dire, but they both stop when Jimmy, because now you're playing Jimmy again, Jimmy comes in. So you see a little bit of tension there. That's when Anya tells Jimmy to give Curly the painkillers. And we have this surreal moment where Jimmy has a conversation with the like remains of Curly, I guess is the best way to describe it, where Curly is just kind of like, you got to do what you got to do and take responsibility. And so in this time frame, he's designated to like find a knife. And so things are starting to escalate. Like, he's starting to find weapons, which I'm like, okay, things are going to start going really bad very soon here.
Yep.
You check on each of the crew members. You check on the foam, because the foam is what's sort of like blocking up a lot of the ship post crash. And it cuts to 6 hours until judgment. And this is the first time we have this phrase, until judgment. And so in my head, I'm like, oh, shoot, like something's really going to start to go down now. And at this point, Swansea is trying to attack you as Jimmy, and he's trying to break into the cockpit. And this is very much like a Shining moment where he's like got an axe and he's like breaking the window and sticking his face kind of through. And this was terrifying to me, honestly. And we get to 2 days before, where we already have talked about the conversation between Curly and Anya. And I think you mentioned this earlier, but I wanted to highlight it because it was such an important detail about, I think, the thing that was really horrifying to me about this game, an element, is Anya asks Curly, why do you think they put a lock on the medical doors and like the cockpit, but not our rooms? And Curly says, safety. And in my head, I'm like, that feels backwards and not right. Yeah, I guess you mentioned it earlier. So do you want to speak a little bit more to just like this conversation point?
Yeah, that's when I knew that something happened to Anya. Like that's the moment that I knew. Because at first, I think my initial reaction, just like thinking about like my AT background, I'm just like, well, the reason why they would lock the medical bay is just so people don't get access to a bunch of medication and then abuse it. Or, harm themselves or anything like that. Like, that was my first thought there. And then I was just like, well, why is she asking this question? Because I feel like as a doctor, as a nurse, that should be obvious to you. And then I like kind of, because there was like no timer with this game, which I really appreciated. Because sometimes I needed to just sit with things for a little bit. And I'm just like, not our rooms. And I'm like, has something happened to her? Because why is Anya the person asking that question? And then Curly giving such kind of like a lazy answer. Safety. I'm like, okay, well, she knows what safety is. She's a nurse. She's a doctor. Like, she knows what that is. So that's when I knew. I was like, okay, something is off. I just didn't know what the off thing was or who did it. I was just like, somebody came into her room.
Yeah.
We know it. Oh wait, no, that doesn't make sense. But I was just, for some reason, I had a feeling. I'm like, okay, it's not Daisuke. I said, so it has to be the other two. For some reason,
Mhm.
I just always felt Daisuke was kind of like the neutral party, because all these people have a kind of a history with each other, and then he's
Yeah.
like kind of just there. I like, normally I don't want to jump to conclusion about that, especially when you're thinking about like, harassment, assault, and things like that. But I'm just like, I don't think it's him. And like my instincts were right on that. But yeah, I felt horrible for her. And I said, when I
Mhm.
find the person who did this, I'm going to choke them. Then yeah, obviously couldn't reach through the game and get them, but I really want, I really want to hurt you. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it was really just it's telling to me that the first person to like really ask this question is the one woman on board. It's really
yes,
telling to me that um that the company just didn't pay for like what, four more locks? It's just like you didn't
yeah.
what is the cost on adding a lock on a door? Like
But then they had all the complicated things that only the captain could do. So I'm just like, so in
exactly.
one instance, you'll lock away, the access codes to the cargo. You'll do the access to whatever was in his locker. Like, they'll do all the, or to the sugar.
Yeah.
You'll do all that, but you won't put a lock on the door. You can go to Home Depot and get that for $5.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? So I was just like, this is backwards. This is weird.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so it's like you have like high authority over here, but then you have like negligence over here. Pick a struggle,
Mhm.
babe. Pick a struggle.
Exactly. I'm like, this company, I mean, they know
Sucks.
what they're doing, but they suck. And so, yeah, that conversation is probably one of the most impactful ones. Cause again, I think especially the first time I played, that was also the moment where I was like, oh, for sure. Like definitively this happened to her.
Yeah.
And definitively like Curly knows at this point. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just
Like
like,
we're
oh
getting
my God.
closer and closer to the point. That's why I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, Curly, just land, sweetie, just land, please.
Yeah.
Try.
Um, it cuts then to 8 hours till judgment when your goal is to try and find some disinfectant.
Mm-hmm.
And because what is it? You're trying to find, I think, the disinfectant to make a cocktail for Swansea to try and drug him because
Yes.
you're trying to get into the med bay because Anya has locked herself in there with Curly. And what's interesting to me is Jimmy is like, we got to get in there to help Curly. He doesn't care about Anya, and Anya is clearly in high distress. She's like,
Yes.
you're pretty, as a player, I was like, okay, she's going to do something to herself, maybe also to Curly, but she's going to harm herself.
Yeah.
And the concern is more for Curly from Jimmy because he continues to not register her as a person.
Right.
And we encounter our first puzzle or like stealth kind of section. And I'm really
Yeah.
curious, just your general feelings on this, like with this puzzle, when you had to like walk through the warehouse and like be really quiet.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about it in general? It's kind of the first mechanic, I
Yeah.
guess we have overt mechanic in the game.
I will say, first off, I was so mad when the task was find disinfectant and you put me in a cargo hold full of sugary mouthwash. I'm like, because normally it is a disinfectant. Well, it can, it can clean your teeth and stuff like that. I was so mad. I said, how dare, or antiseptic, that's what the word I was looking for. I was like, how dare
Yeah.
you? I said, how dare you? I was so mad. I was like, we could have used if it was regular mouthwash, but we can't. And then I realized they were trying to like poison somebody, which if you also like, I just know this also from, I dealt with a lot of stuff as a AT in training. When you consume too much mouthwash, that is also a poison to the body. So don't do that. Yeah, I know it says like 2-3% alcohol. Don't do that. Don't drink too much of it. My God.
PSA from Geeks and Grounds this week.
Just,
Don't consume mouthwashing as alcohol.
I remember because the player, we thought he was drunk. And the thing is, he was 19 years old. I'm like, you shouldn't be doing that. And then, but when I remember I got close to him, I'm like, why does your breath smell? I said, you have got to be kidding me. I said, I need a real adult. I can't deal with. So
Mhm.
that within itself could be a poison. But going through the mechanic, I knew something was following and I knew it was sound driven because I really couldn't see much.
Yeah.
I did have the little oh my god, what is it called? Like the scanning thing.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
did have that on, so I saw like the footprints on the ground. I got through it both times, like first try. I was just like,
Nice.
it's kind of straightforward. The first time though, I kept running into the dead ends, and I was like, all right, you've got to be
Oh,
kidding me.
yeah.
Because the feet were leading you to the dead end. But the second time, I was just like, you won't get me this time. So yeah, it was pretty straightforward. I found the sound to be a little unnerving both times because I was just like, this is a lot. I'm just
Mhm.
very sound sensitive. That's probably
Yeah.
why like I'm kind of decent at Valorant. So I'm just like, this is a lot. This is a lot. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. I could have turned down the volume, but I chose not to. So yeah, I found that mechanic to be straightforward both times. Frustrating the first time because I just didn't know what I was doing. The second time was a bit easier because I knew where not to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, I also again felt like instead of like how with Curly we stepped into kind of his wonderland, I felt like for Jimmy this was his, but for
Mm.
some reason it was also his personal hell. Because like
Yeah.
I with Alice, like in Madness Returns and the first one, like her subconscious was trying to protect her. It was trying to protect her from the truth. It was trying to protect her and also make her realize and remember her past as to why the person in front of her she shouldn't trust. But I feel like
Yeah.
with this, we were stepping into like his wonderland where if you got caught, because I don't even know what happens if you get caught. I don't know because I never got caught in that situation. But I felt like if he got caught, he was going to die. And
Mhm.
whatever killed him, he deserved it. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know because I didn't get caught. So maybe I don't know if that happened to you,
I
but
should
yeah.
have intentionally, because this time around when playing, I didn't get caught because I knew what to expect. I think the first time I did, and I don't remember exactly what happened. I think it mostly just resets you from the beginning, but there's this giant, like horrific horse, like a giant horse that is what gets you. And so I think you're
Oh,
right. Like it's a personal, because, okay. So to delve in, like Pony Express, the mascot is a horse, but
yes.
also the comment, the inappropriate comment that Jimmy makes to Anya is about basically horses. And it's a sexual comment. So you can just play the game or use your imagination, whichever one you want. Um, and I feel like it's this sort of I feel like there's an element of guilt and association for him between like Anya, the horse, like and everything horrible in his life happening right now
Yeah.
is all jumbled together, like you said. And I really appreciate what how you're phrasing like the Wonderland element, because like you said, the one that Curly experienced was not a personal hell. It was just like, this is literally, again, the warning signs. He is trying, his subconscious is like really trying to clue him in to like, come on, pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was not that. And so I
It
think that's a
wasn't.
really cool distinction to
Yeah.
make, because yeah, I did not phrase it like that, but the way you phrased it made it so that like it clicks in very different ways to have these surreal moments be both like a warning, but also just like your guilt-ridden nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. And anything, and honestly, like again, when any game references the Pony Express, I'm just like, this is gonna go bankrupt, just like the real one did. So I'm just like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm like, y'all are screwed.
Yeah. Well, and for folks who don't know, so yeah, the Pony Express, a real thing, happened in like the 1800s,
Something.
early
Yeah.
1900s, something like that. And yeah, went bankrupt super fast. The
Yes.
Telegram bounced it out because that was much more efficient. But also, they were famous for taking on and hiring orphans and like the people that nobody really cared about to
Mm-hmm.
do the job because it was so like strenuous, dangerous, all of that. So
And
again,
barely paid them, if at all.
barely paid them. Exactly. So it's like we see that mirrored in the employees here on the ship, which is
Yeah.
yeah. Again, the symbolism embedded in this game and like the connections embedded in this game are so good.
Yeah.
Um, we then flash to 3 months after when we have knocked out Swansea. We've made that cocktail with disinfectant, with all sorts of things that people should not be drinking.
At all.
Yeah. And we get into the utility room, which Swansea has been guarding since the crash. He keeps saying it's dangerous. There's foam. I don't want you to mess stuff up. I'm cleaning it out. Nobody else go in here. And for some reason, Jimmy listens to him, which I think is kind of surprising, but it shows how much of a little man, like mentally, spiritually he is, because he is willing to follow Swansea's orders. He's willing to follow Jimmy's orders, even though he tries to be like the tough big guy all the time. He doesn't actually do anything. And we learn that Swansea has been keeping a secret, and that is that the cryopods, or at least one of them, are functional, and he has been hiding it from the crew. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think was his motivation in like hiding this information from everybody else?
I feel like I feel when I saw that, because I feel like the first time I was led to believe that he was doing this for himself. I never, but the thing is also that didn't feel right after I had the thought. I thought it was for Anya. I know people have different thoughts about this, that it was maybe for Daisuke. I never thought that the pod was for himself, though, ever.
Yeah.
I feel like because I refer to Swansea as like an old head in the Black community. We're just like, oh, old heads, whatever. Like, they're kind of just like set in their ways. A lot of them, they are older. So, they're trying to impart their wisdom on you in whatever way that comes for them. Usually it's a little harsh. Like, for example, my aunt loves my blonde hair because it's not like all pink. She's an old head. So like, of course she's going to have that opinion, and an aggressive opinion. So I just kind of like brush it off. But I know like at the end of the day, it comes from a place of care. It's not just like to be intentionally cruel. It can come off cruel, and sometimes it is cruel, but like maybe that's not like the intent isn't that, even though the effect is. That's what I thought, because to get her out of this situation, get her out of this horrible situation. Because, we don't know much about Daisuke other than like he maybe comes from a well-off family and that he's younger or whatever. But who's to say like he wouldn't do the same thing to Anya too if he's on here for another 200 days. You know what I mean? So I feel like it was like to get her out of the situation, because she is the most vulnerable person. Like if you bump or scrape your arm, you're going to have to deal with it, bud. Like, good luck with your infection. Sepsis sucks. It really does. So I felt like that's what it was for. But because Jimmy is just so in his head, and also I think he's very intimidated by Swansea. I think that's why he doesn't stand up to him. Maybe he won't, I think Swansea might be all bark, but it's enough bark to make Jimmy like question a few things. Like, oh, it's like, okay, try me, raise your voice again if you want to and see what happens. Like that type of tone. Like I feel like he has like a certain tone about him where like Jimmy doesn't even want to test to see if he has the bite to back up the bark. So I feel like because of that intimidation, because he is so in his freaking feelings, he took that as like, he's keeping this for himself. It could have been for Daisuke. I really feel like it was for Anya, personally.
Yeah, I agree. I think I see why folks think also Daisuke. I think my interpretation has always leaned more towards Anya, personally as well. But I can see both of those. I agree. I definitely don't think Swansea was hiding it for himself. I think he was hiding it against Jimmy, because he knew what Jimmy would do in a situation like that, what Jimmy ultimately does in a situation where he realizes there's like one chance, for survival.
And I think like too, like with Swansea too, like I always think that he's an interesting character, not just because he's like an old head, hard ass, whatever. Like I just really think, I just wonder how hard was that decision for him to break his sobriety?
Yeah.
That sat with me like for a minute when he was just like, well, we're all going to die anyway. But I'm just like, sure. But like, that must've been a really tough choice. Cause what was it, like 20 years or something like that he had said?
Yeah. I was thinking the same, where he is an example. Like Swansea's kind of a real one, like he had a troubled past. He dealt with alcoholism. He dealt with a lot of crap in his life, but he really tried to turn it around. He has a wife. He has a kid. He has a dog. He has been trying to do this really shitty job because he wants to support them. He is sober because he is trying to make better choices. And in all of the ways Jimmy doesn't take responsibility, Swansea is trying to, and like really has done a good job. Yeah. And so, Yeah, I agree. It's like I can't imagine for Swansea the realization of like, well, I guess this is the time where I'm just gonna like kind of let it go,
Yeah.
and make the decision to just like go for it and drink the mouthwash. But even with that, he still has the ability, unlike Jimmy, to when it counts, like take responsibility for things that he didn't even
Yeah.
cause.
Yeah.
And that brings us to, I'll skip to the 6 hours until judgment, where we see that um, Anya was in the room with Curly. Jimmy tells Daisuke, you go up into the vent that has been designated dangerous,
Yes.
but you go up in there and stop whatever's happening. He doesn't do it. He tells the youngest kid to do it.
Yeah.
And he in the situation he knows is dangerous because that vent is also already off limits. Daisuke gets gravely wounded. He pulls himself up and out. He manages to open the door so you can see what has happened to Anya.
Yeah.
But Daisuke is still alive, just like completely like bleeding out, essentially, is what it looks like.
Yeah. And you don't have a
And
nurse.
and you don't have a nurse. And Swansea is the person who has the axe and takes it upon himself to essentially kill Daisuke, but in order to stop his pain, because he is just lying there in pain. Jimmy, he just pours mouthwash on it for no
Great.
reason.
For it to burn? Thanks for the
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah. And so even in his sort of like drunken post-cocktail stupor,
Yeah.
Swansea is able to do more than Jimmy ever can.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah. I feel by then I was just like, I feel for Swansea because he's at least he's trying to do something. Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's I really love the characters in this, even the ones I hate, like Jimmy, because Jimmy is less complex.
Yes.
I'm very happy to just hate Jimmy, but
Yeah.
understanding, yeah, there are nuances, but yeah, we hate Jimmy.
Yeah.
Swansea is really interesting to me because I didn't realize the first time around, or it didn't hit me the first time around, how that he did know about Jimmy and the sexual assault.
Yeah.
And I think what was interesting is the first time I played, I really focused in on Curly because I was like, why didn't Curly do anything?
Yeah.
And this second time around, while I also felt that about Curly, I also thought about like, man, I don't think Daisuke knew. I feel like he was maybe too, like, they didn't see him as part of the group enough to like tell him, or like mature enough to tell him. But I think Anya and Swansea, like, they had conversations about Jimmy. And part of me was like, man, I wonder, Swansea didn't do anything either. And it's like, it just goes to show you like the complexities of these characters, I guess. I also wish Swansea did something.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that I realized on the second playthrough that left me feeling more conflicted and thoughtful, which was just a really good feeling to have, even though it didn't feel good at the same time.
And I was also thinking too, I'm glad you brought this up because I had this thought. This is what happens when Confetti doesn't write things down. If Curly, I'm sorry, Zuko is having a conniption. The attention's not on him. How dare I? When Curly was, forming his team, because he obviously has a relationship with like the crew members except for Daisuke. I think if he was like a formative leader, because we have this thing called like the stages of like team development. It's something that we use in higher education to kind of talk about how to be a team leader in certain situations. So there's stages. I have it right here: forming, storming, norming, and then performing. So when we got to the forming stage, that was the time, when you do the team building activities, you get to know each other and the ins and outs and the all that stuff. But the thing is, the reason why you do that is to build a foundation. So you have tools and resources and things to reflect back on when you get to the next stage, which is storming, where this whole team just fell apart. There's something that like there's always something that triggers the storming phase. It could be a disagreement that kind of got left not mitigated. There could have been like, something external that happened, a fire, a natural disaster, but there's something that causes that. And then, the team, they bicker with each other. There's infighting, there's disagreements, there's, the synergy is completely off. And this team just completely fell apart at the storming phase. So like, I feel like as Curly is like this renowned, decorated, whatever, respected captain, there are some elements to him that do fall short. And I feel like team building is one of them. So like, he might be a decent leader maybe in some people's eyes, but like, I think overall, he's still got a lot of work to do. Maybe he can't climb the corporate ladder, but I think you need to enroll in a class or something, sweetie. Because something's not working.
And it sucks because like we know he's decorated, but I wonder how much of it is like the company. Okay, because you know how sometimes companies just like give people in management like accolades and things just because they're in management, and it's like, okay, you've been here long enough. I guess you're now like getting an award. Yeah. And I wonder how much of that was the fact that he had just been there long enough, had risen in the ranks because because like that's what happens. I mean, it happens in every industry. It happens in games where it's like you're in a position long enough, you become a lead. You're in a position long enough and you're a lead long enough, you make your own studio, and it's like if you are being put into these positions and again, like you said, you don't have the framework, you don't take the classes, you don't know how to actually create a team, or if you are just given a team like he probably was, you don't know how to foster an environment in which the team can like somewhat work together and handle catastrophe. Like, again, there is harm on his level, I think, for not recognizing and like doing something about it, but also he was placed in these positions because of the system of him needing a job and that being the job that paid the bills.
And also like when we saw him, because I think we only saw Curly once, correct me if I'm wrong, like we physically saw him, and me seeing him being blonde hair, blue eyed, like he's like the phenotypical like tippity top of the chain of attractiveness. And somebody you can put on a pamphlet and say, isn't the Pony Express doing a good job? So I fully agree. I like same brain stuff. Like I fully agree with that.
I'm like, that's exactly what, when you see him and he is like blonde, blue eyed dude,
like jacked, like I'm like, there it is.
You're like, okay. Exactly. He's the guy you put on the pamphlet to say, like, look at how good of a job we're doing. Right. Look at our amazing employees.
Right. And then come to find out he's also not that great at his job.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so we are now, Swansea has taken responsibility for Daisuke in ways that Jimmy was unable to. And Jimmy has gotten and acquired a gun that Anya previously was trying to hide because she knew that he was going to at some point break and do harm to people. And she was worried that he would do it to her to take care of her and her pregnancy. So now we are at 0 days before when Anya has told Jimmy the news, and Jimmy is like kind of freaking out. He understands that this is the end of his career. It's maybe the end of Curly's because it happened on Curly's watch. He understands like that this is a big thing that he cannot immediately fix until he starts saying, I'll take care of it. I'll take responsibility. Don't you worry, Curly. And what's wild to me is Curly, as someone who knows Jimmy and like presumably has known him for a decent amount of time, isn't like, yo, dude, take a step back. Let's like take a walk away from anything like the cockpit. He lets Jimmy go.
That has a lock on it.
I know. I'm like, just lock the door. What are you doing? And it's like Curly's in action once again. It enabled Jimmy to do something that hurts everyone. And Curly pays the price for it physically, obviously. And they all pay for the price for it. Yeah. It takes us to the final section of the game, which is 1 hour until judgment, where we have the worst birthday party ever. It is, quote, like present day, essentially. Jimmy takes Curly's body, puts it on the table, takes the dead bodies of the crewmates, put them in party hats, and you proceed then to, mirroring the cutting the cake moment at the very first birthday party, you proceed to cut into Curly's body, which is super disturbing. Yeah. I hated it.
Every second.
It's the worst. And we go into just a series of surreal moments.
Yeah.
Into an encounter with Swansea. And this is really a climax of the game, especially as we've kind of identified like Swansea is a foil directly to Jimmy and like the idea of taking responsibility.
Yeah.
We have a cemetery encounter where you see sort of, is it epitaph or like sort of like shrines to Daisuke?
Yeah.
And you're running around the cemetery trying to avoid Swansea. And basically try to like, I think you're shooting at him and you shoot at him like 3 times to try to end that sequence.
Yeah.
I will say I am so bad at this sequence.
Oh.
I was so bad at the first time. I was so bad at the second time. I am so jumpy and bad at first person shooting style mechanics.
Okay.
So this was a rough moment for me because it just took a little time to finish.
Yeah.
How about you? You're better at that than I am, so I figure it probably was easy.
So I didn't know when the first time I played it, I didn't know what was going on. It's because I was so like looking at the environment again. Like if I see something in the corner, I want to go explore it. But it wasn't exploration. So when it like flashed and it's like restarted, I was like, oh, I need to pay attention. Then I got it like that the first try. But I was just like, I think my RPG brain was just like, oh, what's going on? What's this environment? What does this say? Blah, blah, blah. Like I feel like I didn't have time for that. And I wish like we had like just a second, just to take it in. Because sometimes I just really needed that. But I understood the point. Also when, you do eventually do the 3 shoots, like Jimmy was always going for the kill. Like it didn't matter where you aimed, like in the in between sequence, he was always going for the kill because he shot him right in the freaking head. And it's like, wow. Like you're so scared of the consequences of your own actions that you're just everybody. Really? Wow. This is nobody's fault but yours. Like there's no way to spend this, turn this, there's Jimmy. But yeah, that was what I noticed. I was just like, he was never like aiming like at a shoulder, leg, nothing. Like it was always because like even like a femoral, like if you shot like closer to like your hip, your femoral artery, like that is extremely deadly. You can bleed out probably in 15 minutes and be out. I really need to stop disclosing a lot of medical things. I'm so sorry.
I mean, if there was ever a time we're already talking about such like horror themed things, this is like the time to do it.
I paid attention in class. Okay. See, Mom, I am using my degree. Like he was just always going for like the most lethal kill. And it's like, dude, you like really didn't want to face the consequences of your own actions. Like, it's just like, and people like, and the thing is, as somebody like, I try to like, I haven't done so like in about 2 months, but I really try to respectfully like engage with true crime and see like a lot of these scenarios where, men are cheating on, their wives and then they get their, lover pregnant. And then like the first option is to kill them. Like, oh my God, like, I just feel like I was like reliving like the worst stories I've probably like ever heard over the years. And it just like, when you talk about like the parallels of like reality, because I've also like, not witnessed this, but like I've had a family member who like thought that was like not the only reality that he had. And I was just like, so you went to hurt somebody, the person that he harmed and he himself are still alive. Thank God. Well, thank God his victim is alive. But like, I talked to him and I'm just like, that was what you thought was the option to do? Not like take a walk. It's literally something else. And like, that is just like, what's so heartbreaking for me. Like, especially, I'm not saying this to be rude or like, be against men or anything like that. But a lot of the violent crime is committed by men, especially against women. And, it just reminded me of that sad reality that just like, you're not even safe at your freaking job. And that's all Anya wanted to do. She just wanted to get her check and go home. And she probably got 6 cats at home. That's all she wanted. Yeah, like I made up this whole story about Anya. I love Anya so much. I just want to protect her. So yeah, it's just like that, like really he just went straight to violence. Like that's just kind of what that whole section, like the graveyard, and then like when you
Mhm.
see Swansea's body back in reality, I'm just like, wow,
Yeah.
that's terrifying. Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you are spot on. It is really fascinating to me with Jimmy how he does instantly, like him taking care of it is just killing everyone. Like him
Right.
taking care of it is obliterating any evidence that it happened, including themselves.
Right.
Which is like you have to wonder what state of mind and like what circumstances in his life have pushed him to think like this. And so in that way, I'm like, again, I am not a Jimmy apologist at all. Do not like Jimmy.
Let's make this clear.
Making it very clear. Jimmy is at fault. He is wrong. He is a bad person. But I think about how he got there, where it's like Swansea could have been a Jimmy, but Swansea was able to like find an avenue to change. What happened to Jimmy that made him feel like, whether it was true or not, he didn't have an avenue to change? And like, at what point did everything fail him so much that he wasn't able to like receive or get the help that he needed either?
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because like Curly, I think, was trying to help him, and he was like, let's get you a job, let's get you on this thing and get you on track. But it was not deep enough of support for Jimmy
Right.
to like actually deal with the many issues that he seems to have going on.
Yes.
And so it's like, yeah, again, does not excuse what he does, but
it doesn't. I think like also like, you know, I have this, I'm in the middle of this project with Gaming Magazine where, spoiler alert, I talk about a story that happened in South of Midnight, and one of the characters and how he deals with a lot of childhood trauma that he never dealt with, and that carried with him to his adulthood, where sometimes he would lash out violently, not in his human form but in his Rogaroo form. And I talk about like toxic masculinity and how like we rear boys, you know, in our society to be like these single avenue, single feeling type of, you know, human beings. And they're not. Like, you know, humanity is complicated. You know, the reason why we have all of these emotions, because you're meant to feel them. So I don't pity Jimmy at all.
Absolutely not.
And on the flip end, when you look at the statistics, when you look at, you know, violent crime, especially violence committed against women by men, it's like, I'm not shocked that that's how he turned out. I can, you know, you can give anybody a job. You know, a lot of serial killers had jobs, or very religious people. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's superficial. You know, you need a check to pay your bills. Okay. But are you dealing with the stuff? Are you dealing with the stuff? Are you dealing with all the things internally? And no, a job's not going to do that for you. It can give you the resources to get access to that, because I'm just going to assume, since the Pony Express was an American company, like in the United States, if you're an international listener, our healthcare is attached to employment. So, you know, if you're not employed, 9 times out of 10, you don't have healthcare. So, you know, are you using the resources that you have? Are you doing the things to take responsibility? Something that Swansea seemed to do with what he had access to, but Jimmy just thinks that he's above it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's like, you know, what's really interesting, because it's like, we see through each of these men like different avenues that toxic masculinity sort of portrays itself through, or like kind of is performed through, you know, and acted through. And I think like Curly as the nice guy, but he doesn't really do anything about it when it comes down to it. Like Jimmy is the sort of more overt aggressor and abuser. We have Swansea, who is changing, but like he still has so much in his core where he's like, he still didn't speak up. He still is like, he's still working towards change, and like perhaps is the most positive representation, but he still kind of bullies Daisuke, you know. That's like, he's still not very nice.
No, he's not.
Kind. And then we have Daisuke, who I hadn't really thought about this whole time, but you bringing this up made me think of how like Daisuke is really interesting because he is so happy and optimistic the whole time. I wonder if there's like an element of him where he doesn't show his masculinity through like being macho. He shows it
Yeah.
through his optimism because he doesn't ever vocalize really like worries, stress, fear until the very end. I think is the first time we really see him be kind of afraid because he's dying. But until that point, only very small snippets of his vulnerability actually shows through.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really interesting the different ways that masculinity is portrayed, like and a lot of it sort of the negative sort of portrayals of, or the negative like embodiments of masculinity in this game.
Yeah. I remember reading, and please don't come at me if in the comments if like I'm not saying this right, but I believe like depending on which like kanji is used, daisuke means like mediator. Usually it means like assistant. I think like normally like an assistant or a helper or something like that. But like for that, like I feel like when Daisuke was removed from the element between the crew, everything just went like really down. So he was like kind of like the neutral party that everybody kind of bounced off of. And then, like you said, like he was so hopeful and optimistic about the future and things like that. Like, you know, people saw him in a softer light. I've always felt like he was kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a pillow and like a nice cushiony, bright pillow amongst all this chaos. Cause what the heck?
Yeah, he definitely is. Like, I think a pillow is a good sort of metaphor where, well, and he's soft and he's like not super experienced with the world.
Right.
But it's like I think the tragic thing about Daisuke is that he doesn't ever get the chance. And then maybe this is why Swansea cares about him, is he is so young and this is happening and he will never get the chance to like see if he can hold on to that optimism and happiness and hope as a guy in this system. Like Swansea sees that, and I think he in his own way is trying to protect Daisuke, and that's why he's like feels so connected, even though he bullies Daisuke and isn't very nice to him a lot of the time. So
I think that's also maybe why people think that the cryopod was for him too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still am personally, my headcanon is it was for Anya.
Same.
I think.
Same.
But I would take a Daisuke as a response if this was like Jeopardy or something.
Yeah.
And so at the very end we get the intense graphic that has been repeating but is like most intense, where it's about taking responsibility. Yes. We get what I feel like is the worst puzzle in the game because it is so grotesque, and it's where you're feeding Curly to himself and he doesn't want to eat his own chunk of body, but in your convoluted Jimmy way, you're forcing him to eat because you think that's taking responsibility and caring for Curly. It's not. And eventually you go through a ventilation monster puzzle where you're walking through more surreal spaces. And there's like a centipede amalgamation of polys, basically a horse centipede thing.
I hate that. That was the puzzle I struggle with. I'm like, I hate this.
That for me too. I was like, I just kind of happened both times, and I should have just looked up what to do.
Yeah.
I just kind of kept walking until it stopped.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I was thinking too, like, cause I know like at the end, when we get to like to the judgment and what ultimately Jimmy does, I'll wait to bring up that point then, because that makes more sense in that context.
No, I think this is actually a perfect time. We can just move on to like judgment. There's like a conversation with Polly, but really at the end of the day, we are at the end where Jimmy is carrying Curly and taking him to the room with the cryopods. And feel free to share what you were going to say.
Yeah, because Jimmy carries Curly and puts him in the only cryopod, which it doesn't like mean that Curly's going to be saved. It means that there's a more of a chance that he will be. But with that chance, I feel like Jimmy doomed him or kind of screwed him a bit. I don't know what happens in a cryopod. Never been in one. Don't even know if they're real. But I will say, like, the puzzle that we had, like the ultrasound puzzle, first of all, the second time is when I realized it was an ultrasound. The first time I didn't. I was just like, oh, that's disgusting. Is that he fed him his own body. The human flesh is not nutritious. It's just
Mm-hmm.
not. It's not. It can cause a lot of, this is not where this is supposed to go. I'm so sorry, Jenny.
It's okay.
It is like you, the human body, like, we get our resources from, from animal meat, from, fruits and veggies and, wheats and things like that. But like the reason why, like, when you talk about cannibalism and like people eating their own flesh, it's not nutritious to your body. It can cause a lot of neurological problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that is going to sustain you. You can get a lot of diseases. Also, it's just wrong. And also it can really, it'll just mess you up. So the thing is, the fact that he fed that to him and then froze him, his body has nothing to like, there's no nutrients in him. So the last thing you fed him was parasitic to his freaking body. It was a toxin. You poisoned him, essentially,
Yeah.
and then froze him and pushed him in deep space. I said, you suck to the very end, dude. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Ew.
It's just, well, okay. And I was thinking the same thing where I'm like, in a best case scenario also, which I think is totally unlikely, because I don't think, frankly, the company would investigate and try to find them
in the first place. No.
In the first place. Yeah.
Nope.
I'm like, the company, we already know that they're cheap. They're not going to send a rescue squad for people that they don't care about for mouthwash.
Even their most decorated captain.
Even a decorated captain. I feel like what happens if Curly was rescued? He doesn't have limbs. He doesn't have skin. Like, why? Again, I'm just like, you are dooming him to, if rescued, live a life that has such poor quality. That's not being a hero. And what I hated is Jimmy the whole time is like, man, I'm such a hero. Like, he's like, I'm going to make this ultimate sacrifice for you because I'm just such a good guy and I'm such a hero and I am taking responsibility for this. And I'm like, you caused this.
This is your fault. This is literally
your
fault.
fault. Yeah. So yeah, to the end, Jimmy is the worst. Curly pays the price for everything Jimmy does. And the ending is so horrific because you're just like, the credits are rolling and you're able to kind of look around and you just hear the breathing of Curly. And it's just like,
I took off my headphones. I said, I'm done.
Yeah. It's just like, I think I didn't roll through the entire credits because I was just like, I get it. And it hurts. Thank you, developers. You said you hope it hurts. It hurts.
You know what I did? You know what I did after? Yeah. I went and watched Winx Club because I needed to be happy.
Just decompress a little. Yeah.
I said, I need fairies and magic, please.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But what do you think? I'm looking at some of these last questions because we're nearing to the end of time, and I want to make sure to ask questions that folks have sent in.
This is cool.
What did you think just in the end? I think actually, hold on. I think Valis. Okay, actually, I'm going to just start asking some submitted questions because I think there's some good ones. By the end, do you think the game, and this is from Valis, do you think the game meaningfully explores the harm that Jimmy inflicted onto the other characters, or do you think there was one, like a story of a character that should have gotten more time?
I think I would have liked to know a little bit more about Daisuke's background from Daisuke versus hearing assumptions about him being rich and his parents being well off. Maybe I missed it. I could be bugging, but I don't think that Daisuke was shared anything about Daisuke that came from Daisuke's mouth. Yeah.
I feel like I wrote down that he was like at least decently well off, but I don't know why and where I got it. I think it was
they
conversations other people said. So
right,
that's a good point. I think I also would have loved more about Daisuke from Daisuke. I do think, even though it was really brief, I really loved the monologue that Swansea got at the end, because for
Yes.
me that like that was honestly maybe one of my favorite parts of the game, is getting that moment with Swansea and really getting a greater picture of his own motivations and his own words and like what he has been through.
I agree.
So yeah, Daisuke I would also pick. Let's see. Let's go with Monica, or actually no, let's go with Emily first and then we'll go with Monica's question.
Okay.
What do you think Mouthwashing says about women's experiences in the world right now, especially in light of how quickly or not some pick up on what happened to Anya, and how some people try to like explain away what happened to Anya in particular?
I think this is what instinctually comes to mind, especially as a Black woman, is that it always feels like you have to be on guard. Like it feels like nowhere is safe. And it is exhausting. That like that's honestly like that what especially comes to mind right now. Me and my mom, we were having a discussion about like kids and things like that because I'm an only child. And like just talking about like, her pregnancy and the stuff that she went through with me and things like that. And then, because she was in labor with me for 4 days. I'm like, I am so sorry.
Ooh, 4 days. Oh my God.
I'm like, sorry, dude. She was like, get this thing out of me. But I was talking about, because, Black women have black, and also Indigenous women have some of the highest mortality rates when it comes to, childbirth. And, that is a medical condition. That is, you are put in crisis. Your body is in crisis when you are giving birth. As cute as TLC and all them shows try to make it, like it's not. It is a serious medical condition. You can die. And like thinking about Anya having to be on that ship, if she were 5 months along, they still had like 200 more days left. The potential of like having to give birth amongst a crew of incompetent people. Maybe Swansea could help since he already has kids, but like, I just felt for her, because even if they would have, did the whole, situation, the whole stay, that still would have been bad for her. And then you're in a hostile environment and you have to play nice. So, nobody hurts you. And it's exhausting. And it kind of in a lot of ways feels defeating. And I feel like, especially as a Black woman, like in this day and age, I can't speak for others, but, I feel like a lot of women are, especially Black women, are just stepping into their power and realizing how much power that they do have, even when we still feel, when we have to be up against these impossible obstacles of a man's ego. Like, I'm sorry, James Brown was right. It's a man's world, and it sucks a lot for us. So just a lot of us just realizing our power and what we can do and how we navigate these spaces cleverly. Like I think about like this is such a bad example, I'm so sorry, but like Cersei, like a lot of the things in Game of Thrones, like the things that like she was up against. But like thing is, Cersei sucks. And also she is a woman surrounded by a bunch of men, and she takes the power that she needs, but she's also really terrible. She's a horrible person. Or you think of, like Sansa and how she was so innocent and the things that she went through. And like, I'm using Game of Thrones as an example, but like, it feels like that right now, like in the present world, maybe to not the extreme, but like, it just feels like that. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but like, it's just, because I thought about this too. Like when the credits were rolling, I threw off my headphones. I was just like, wow, we're not safe anywhere. So, but I'll stop because yes, please interject.
No, I think that was so good. Game of Thrones is a great example to bring up, because that is another show where it's like more dudes and dudes on horses and lots of guys, and then there's like women who happen to be able to like manipulate and use, their wits to really get into and out of situations. And I think that's a great example to compare to Anya, who, like Cersei, is known for her power, even though, again, horrible person, super powerful. I think Anya is an example that maybe I at least connected with more on a level of like man, I know what it's been like to pretend to not to like suggest something so someone else does it, but they think it's their idea and not mine.
Yes.
I know what it's like to pretend to like, I can't really, could you do this for me? I just can't, I can't really do, it's like
in there. Yeah.
Make yourself not as threatening or not as like
play the fool kind of.
Yeah. Just like there are ways that Anya has made herself smaller to placate for her safety. And I hated how much I was like, I immediately saw that. I was like, where I feel like if you haven't done it before or you haven't experienced it before, you may have not read Anya as like graciously. You might have saw her as simpering or weak rather than, no, maybe she's a really smart person understanding Jimmy is volatile and that she's doing everything she can to make sure that he stays as even keeled as possible because they're trapped.
And I saw Anya as like, in my opinion, I felt like she had the most power on the ship because she had access to every kind of medicine, poison, anything. Like, honestly, if Anya was to crash out, I'd be like, girl, go ahead. You got it. And like, she knew where the gun was. Like, she had access to a lot of things. And it's just like, that's not her personality. That's not her. That's not who she is. And that is completely okay. Because, because, I'm somebody who's like a survivor and like, I've seen this person just out and about and I'm just like, what if my car just happened to go through them? But like, that's not my personality. I'm not going to do that because I believe in karma and I believe like, you're going to get your judgment because there's no way you're sleeping at night. You know what I mean? So like, I also understand it on that end as well.
Yes.
Anya, get off the ship.
I know. God, Anya. Let's see.
That's a good question, Emily.
Yeah, thank you, Emily, for that question. Really appreciate it. A little bit lighter, also from Emily. Were there any parts? This is okay. Let me add the context because I think the context is probably important in this one. You've discussed when covering Dredge and Slay the Princess how coziness and horror, and even humor and horror, are sometimes two sides of the same coin. Yeah. Were there any parts you felt were particularly cozy or humorous in Mouthwashing amidst the horror? It's also a really good question.
My sense of funny is not normal. I feel like, I feel like cozy. I mean, like, I guess cozy, and I'll use in the context of like familiar, is when you were making the cake and like having to do this code and do that, and you do that, and it makes the cake, and it's like, yay! I feel like that was like very cozy because it was like familiar, like the mechanic felt familiar. I would say like funny is like when you were walking down the hallway in the very beginning of the game and it was like Pony Express Avenue everywhere. And I'm like, this is going to end horribly.
I love how that's the funny one for you.
Here we go. Let's see how fast this will spin out of control.
My gosh.
I don't know why. Because the thing is, and also the cartoon character, the horse is ridiculous. I was just like, this is... But they're trying to like, because like how Voltec has like the guy who does the thumbs up, which is like the measurement for the cloud or whatever. But like, if you don't know that, it just looks like some blonde haired guy like, hey, come to Voltec. I just felt like it was ridiculous. I was like, what lies am I being fed? Don't feed me a lie. Because I will more than likely see right through it. And I just thought it was funny that the game was trying to trick me. I'm like, you won't get me.
Yes. I think on that line, I think one of the funny moments for me was more of an environmental thing, similarly an environmental thing, where you are in the lobby, sort of gathering living room area, and you walk by, they have this giant statue of this horse, Polly, in like the living room. And every time you walk by it, it like says like a slogan that's like, work hard, play hard. Yeah. If you walk close enough to it, it'll say a slogan. So that jump scared me so hard the first time I walked by it. Cause I was like just walking around the living room exploring, and it said like a phrase, like a working phrase. And I was just like, oh my God. And so that for me was humorous, mostly because I was like really just exploring in my, just like, oh, let me just get all the details. And then this voice from Polly pops up.
I'll have to go back and try.
It's really fun. And it's kind of ridiculous to think where it's like, if someone in that ship is walking around, you have to make sure to not walk by this thing. Otherwise, you are going to like tell everyone, like everyone's going to know where you are.
Yeah.
And it's just the most annoying. Like, why would you have that other than ridiculous company policy / corporate whatever? So that for me was really funny.
Yeah.
I don't know, cozy. I mean, I'm like, this scene, it's not a cozy scene, but I really loved the pixel picture of the night sky, because I was like, oh my God, it's like a break for the eyes.
Yeah.
It's not the red sunset.
Yeah.
But I guess it's technically not a very cozy moment, and it's also a fake window. They don't get to see the outside, so that's not very cozy. But I did like that the picture was blue and my eyes got a break from the red.
Yeah. I think that was an intentional put in, because like it was a lot of red. It was a lot.
Oh
I'm like, can we get a break, please?
Yeah.
Help.
Let's see. I think we answered a little bit Valis's earlier question about nonlinear storytelling, so I'll count that one as we discussed it. Kind of going off the last question, this one's from Valis. Mouthwashing is a game with tons of little details that add flavor and are contextualization to the story. What were some of your favorite small details?
I honestly, like, again, because this is Voltec, always on my brain. I thought it was interesting how, especially like when you're making like corporations in a game, the attention to detail to how many things that like really, I don't want to situation. What's the word I'm looking for? The way they try to like really ingrain you in company culture. I love attention to detail like that. I think like with like the Bethesda devs, what they do with Voltec, like that is very masterfully done because it's so layered. But like even in like this 3-hour play, like it's not just the posters, it's not just, you know, the mascot, like it's everywhere. It's in like, you know, the emails that he gives, even though we didn't get to see the actual document itself, like you just see like this is an actual job that you're supposed to be working. Like it could be a job. I don't know if we've been to the moon. I don't know if I fully believe that. Sorry, I'm a conspiracy theorist sometimes. Yeah, like I love that detail to try. You're not gonna get me because I'm so over capitalism and corporations. Like I'm not buying into it. But I love to see the attention to detail with that. Because it was all over. It even in the medical bay, like it was just like, you know, make sure you do this, do. Like it was, I really love that type of detail to really create the environment. And also I think that it creates an extra layer of pressure, not just like, you know, oh, something's coming to get you. Like, you know, somebody's chasing you. It was more so like, you still have a job to do. Remember that. Like, it's like the big brother of the thing. Like, it's just like, you know, how you kept bringing up the fact, like, you know, with the mouthwash, like at the end of the day, there's a corporation that's controlling all of this. That's what I like. So I really respected that. Appreciated that.
Yeah. I think I tried to have a think about this before because we got these questions ahead of time. And one of my favorite details, I think, was the sorry game board, that if you go down to the living room section and you look at the coffee table, it looks like they've been playing a game of Sorry, and the colors of the pieces match the colors of each character, because the characters each have like I think Daisuke's pink, Anya's green, Jimmy's yellow, I think. And so each of the characters has colors. And if you look at that board as the gameplay continues, you can kind of like get little senses of what's going on. Like some characters will be knocked down in scenes where the character's like having a harder time. Like Daisuke is like winning a lot of the time because he's like really lucky. There's just these little details with that Sorry game board that I think.
Why wouldn't you text me to say pay attention to the Sorry board?
I shouldn't. Oh my God. Next time I will. So cool. Next time I will.
No, I'm gonna have to replay it now. I'm gonna have to replay it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was just such a fun detail because again, it's just like looking around. I just happened to look at it and I kept returning to it and realizing like, oh wait, this is like it's mirroring things and it's like telling us little hints of things. And I thought that was such a tiny, cute detail. And then the other one that I noticed that has stuck with me just through this second playthrough. I don't think I noticed it in my first one, but Anya has a book in the med bay that's like on her counter. And it's called Up or Down, The Illusion of Choice. And
Yes.
especially
Yes.
with,
Yes. I saw that. Yeah.
with Anya's character and like what she goes through and how she, for the whole game, is trapped like physically in the ship, mentally with what's going on. Like her body is doing things without her like choice. She has been forced upon and assaulted. And then also thinking about like the one choice that she really makes at the end, to take her own life, like thinking about her and her own agency throughout this game. That book has really stuck with me as like a reflection of her character. So that was a detail that has really stuck with me. Much more maybe heavy than the Sorry game board, but one
that's a good one. Yeah, I completely forgot about that because so much was happening.
Yeah, well, and it's such a tiny. Again, it's like such a tiny detail. It's amazing that the devs like they have so many more. Like, Swansea has the keychain that you get from Swansea to unlock is it the vent? I think, or the engineering room. I forget. Maybe both. But the key that you get from him has a goose on it. And I guess, yeah. And the goose, it looks like, I mean, it's got a curved neck, but geese, I think, are seen both as like loss of innocence and sort of like, not good omens, I guess. And so,
they can be.
Yeah, I want to make sure we wind down with Monica's question because she asked a really great one, I think, to take us out. And that is, do you have any recommendations for other horror games that don't necessarily have combat and are more narrative heavy, especially in regards to character arcs? I'm assuming... Oh, yeah, because Monica at the beginning of this message said, I'm not usually one to play horror, but I tried it this month because of Geeks and Grounds. Yay. And I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the experience. Although, as the dev mentions at the start, it definitely hurt at the same time. I want more. So I guess, do you have any recommendations that you want to kick off with?
The first thing that comes to mind, but I'm just trying to replay it because like horror and combat sometimes tend to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Other than to me, it would Slay the Princess, but even though there's a point to everything that they're doing. I would say that's very narrative based, and also that game has so many endings and twists and turns. I think I messaged you when I finished that game. That was a beautiful game because I played the demo at PAX West. I don't think Layers of Fear has combat. It's just a lot of puzzles and it's easy to get turned around, but that's on purpose. You do eventually get out, but you do have to walk through the things and solve the puzzles. Those are the things that come to mind first.
Yeah, I think those are both really good. Layers of Fear is a great one. You're right. There's no combat there. I think additional recommendations, Soma, which is an older game. I think Soma would be a good one. Honestly, I think Proximate, which I talked about earlier, would be a good one, as that is like, it's all about what's in your mind versus what's actually happening on a screen.
The one I'm invoicing you for,
Yes, yep. Everyone just send me your invoices. No, please don't.
Please don't.
I don't have that money. Once I make $1 million, I will pay for everyone's indie games. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I think Soma, Slay the Princess. The developers of Mouthwashing have another game. It's called How Fish is Made. I have not played it, but I think it's a similar vein where it's more you moving around. It's a bit more surreal, more narrative focused. It's also a short experience, and I think it's free. Yes, just loaded the Steam page. It is free. So that could be another alternative if you enjoyed Mouthwashing and you're looking for more non-combat, but still great, like narrative heavy, or at least very thoughtful horror games that kind of let you dig into some surreal stuff. But yeah, thank you, Monica, Valis, and Emily for those questions. Sorry we weren't able to get to all of them, but we are so far over time. I want to make sure to let Confetti go. But Confetti, if you could remind us where we can find you, that way everyone can go and just check out all the videos that you're going to be making in the near future and your streams.
Yeah. So I am Milady Confetti on YouTube and also on Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. I'm trying to do better at talking on Blue Sky. Sometimes I'm a person now. I keep a lot of my thoughts to myself. So I'm just like, what do I even like say on here? Here's a picture of my cat. So yeah, but I am also, yes, on Blue Sky. I am very much putting a heavy focus on short form, long form content. So I stream 3 times a week, Tuesday through Thursday, usually about 2 hours. I like to keep it short so I don't exhaust myself. But because I really love, this type of content. I love deep diving into the topics. I love just really aligning them with like things that are happening in real life, because video games, like all art, it draws on life experience. So yeah, they can follow me. It is Milady Confetti everywhere. You can even Google it and it'll come up, everything you need to know.
Awesome. And we'll be sure to have links to Confetti's socials in the newsletter, which I'll be sending out later on. And I will be doing my best to post on social media, and when I do, I will tag Confetti in the posts. I'm so bad at posting on social. I'm the same, where I'm just like, I just kind of like keep my thoughts to myself at this point.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's so peaceful.
It really is.
I'm trying to promote the things that I am doing, and especially with folks like you joining, which I hugely appreciate.
Thank you for having me.
I want to make sure.
Fun.
Yeah, this is incredible. I really appreciated all of like your comments and thoughts. I'm thinking about the game in different ways than when I started, which is really exciting. That's always like my favorite part of this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
And for a little bit of housekeeping, everyone, next month and in December, so for 2 months, we will be playing Final Fantasy X, a game that'll take, it's
my favorite Final Fantasy. I'm so excited for you. Oh my God.
See, everyone, Final Fantasy X, it is good. We will be joined by Dave from Tales of the Backlog for both of those episodes. I'm so excited for the conversation that we're going to have, both in the podcast as well as in the community. Final Fantasy X is peak.
It is.
No other way to put it. It is peak.
I just listened to the soundtrack this morning.
Oh
yes.
my God. It's so good. So we will be starting that in November. So keep an eye out. I won't be traveling as far or as long. I do have one little trip, but it'll be tiny. And I'm so excited to be able to like fully focus in on playing games in the next 2 months.
Yay.
So we will also, last bit of housekeeping, we'll be starting to nominate and vote for some of next year's titles. So keep an eye out in Discord and probably the next newsletter as we kick off the process. I'm super excited. So get those nominations ready, and we'll be using the voting process that we always do, ranked choice voting, because we got to model what we want to see in the democratic process. So yeah, very excited for that. And with that, I hope that unlike everyone on the ship Tulpar, you all get to celebrate your own birthdays this year.
Mine's coming up.
And go watch Wicked 2 on Confetti's birthday to celebrate hers, because it's happening on November 21st.
November 21st.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.